The story begins in the city of Yunu, where we see a very luxurious and grand hotel, a 5-star super hotel, the kind where the soap probably costs more than your phone. At that moment, the scene changes to the inside of a hotel room where in the bathroom a girl is showering. Meanwhile, in the room, a man named Feng Kaio is standing. Feng Kaio gently lifts that girl's dress and smells it in a very perverted way, the ultimate red flag. On his face is an evil smile, and he thinks to himself, "Yiayo, in the end, I will make you mine." The classic villain monologue. Just as he is lost in his twisted thoughts, the doorbell suddenly rings and a voice is heard from outside. "Sir, your food delivery has arrived." Hearing this, Feng Kaio gets a little irritated and while walking towards the door comments, "I'm coming." As soon as the door opens, we see a delivery person standing outside, and that delivery person is our main character, Yi Chen. With much respect, he says, "Sir, your food delivered." But before he can finish his sentence, his gaze drifts into the room. At that moment, the bathroom door opens, and Yiayo comes out with a towel wrapped around her and her hair wet. She looks at Feng Kaio and asks, "Feng Kaio, did you bring my clothes?" But then her gaze falls on Yi Chen, who is standing at the door, and she freezes in surprise, the caught in 4K moment. On the other hand, Yi Chen is also stunned. His mind goes blank, and from the impact, the food package falls from his hands to the floor. Seeing this, Feng Kaio shouts angrily, "Hey!" At this moment, Yiayo, upon seeing Yi Chen, suddenly exclaims, "Honey!" Hearing this, Feng Kaio is confused. "Honey!" Then Feng Kaio understands who this delivery person really is. He looks Yi Chen up and down and declares with a mocking smile, "So Yiayo, your useless husband turned out to be a food delivery guy." Laughing, he feels proud of his luck and thinks to himself, "I can't believe I ordered from Yiayo's pathetic husband." The universe's ironic sense of humor. At this moment, Yi Chen's anger finally erupts. Looking directly into Yiayo's eyes, he expresses the pain in his heart. "Wan Yiayo, I spent 3 years in your family. 3 times a day, I fed your family." His voice grows even heavier when he mentions, "In these last 3 years, you didn't even let me touch your hand." With this, we are shown a flashback where Yiayo always ignored Yi Chen and told him, "Don't come near me, go sleep on the floor." The ultimate friend-zoned husband treat. Returning from the flashback, Yi Chen shouts with anger and pain, "I always thought you were a woman of principle, but today you're having fun with another man." With tears in his eyes, he asks, "Why did you do this?" But on Yiayo's face, there isn't a trace of shame. With a cold tone, she comments, "Why? Because my husband is just an ordinary food delivery guy." She points proudly at Feng Kaio and declares, "Do you know who he is? The CEO of the Feng investment firm, the young master of the Feng family, a first-class family in Yunu whose assets are in the billions." Then looking at Yi Chen with disdainful eyes, she says, "Only men like him are worthy of me, not poor people like you." The Gold Digger Manifesto. Seizing this opportunity, Feng Kaio puts his hand on Yiayo's shoulder and tells Yi Chen arrogantly. Then insulting him further, he says, "If you kneel here and apologize, I'll give you a 5-star rating," the ultimate power move of a petty villain. Hearing this, Yi Chen thinks to himself, "You two are so shameless just because you're rich." At this moment, Feng Kaio, moving closer to Yiayo, comments, "Yiayo, don't worry about him, it's just the two of us." But before he can finish his sentence, Yi Chen steps forward and with all his strength, grabs Feng Kaio's neck and shouts, "Stop, you damned animal." Feng Kaio begins to choke and screams in pain. "Ah, it hurts, let me go." Seeing this, Yiayo, on the contrary, starts yelling at Yi Chen. "Yi Chen, how dare you lay a hand on him?" And threatening him, she declares, "If you don't leave right now, I'll call security." At this moment, Yi Chen, seeing his wife protecting that man, breaks inside. Then Yi Chen remembers his past, where in a flashback his grandfather says, "This is the fiancée I chose for you." He thinks to himself, "When I first saw her, I thought I would have a happy life with her." But returning to the present, he thinks, all that was just my wishful thinking. Before leaving, he gives Yiayo one last warning. "Wan Yiayo, I hope one day you won't regret this." And turning around, he walks out. As soon as he leaves, Yiayo shouts, "Regret. The biggest regret of my life is having a useless husband like you." After this, the scene changes, and we go outside where Chen sits on his scooter. Then his phone rings. He answers the phone and says in a subdued voice, "Hello, Tantan Delivery." And from the other side of the phone comes the calm but respectable voice of an old man who declares, "Third young master, your 3-year character test as a son-in-law in the Wan family officially ends today." Hearing this, Yi Chen falls silent for a moment, and the old man continues. "The next test is a business test. The old master has already acquired the Jiasheng group, and arrangements have been made to appoint you as chairman." And at this moment, it becomes clear that Yi Chen is not an ordinary delivery person, but a billionaire heir who is only undergoing a test, the ultimate secretly op reveal. Yi Chen's facial expressions gradually change. His anger calms, and with a tranquil tone he says, "Okay, I understand." After saying this, the old man asks with a bit of doubt, "The old master also wants to know how you're getting along with the young lady. Should we formally accept her into the family and make her one of the heirs?" Hearing this, Yi Chen's face hardens, and without thinking, he immediately responds, "No need, she's not worth it." And saying this, he hangs up the phone. After this, the scene changes to 8 p.m. in the Xincheng residential community of Yunu, where we see, on one side, Yayo and on the other, Yi Chen packing his luggage. Then Yayo arrives and with a cold and sarcastic tone comments, "Are you thinking of running away from home? It's really worth it over something so small." Hearing her words, Yi Chen stops and asks her a direct question. "You think cheating is just something small?" Faced with this question from Yi Chen, Yayo doesn't feel the slightest bit of shame. Instead, showing even more attitude, she says clearly, "And what do you expect, that I apologize to you?" Then, as if doing him a favor, she continues, "You eat our food, drink our water, and live in our house. Even if I did something wrong to you, you'll have to tolerate it." Hearing such shameless words, Yi Chen's patience finally breaks, and he shouts angrily, "Wan Yayo, I have tolerated your Wan family. For 3 years, your mom and dad publicly insulted and hit me countless times, and not once did I respond." The suppressed anger of years pours out in his voice when he says, "Your uncle and his sons bullied me, and all of you acted as if you saw nothing. You never even let me touch you, and I respected that too." And he continues, "That was because I cared about you, but from today on, I don't want to tolerate all this anymore." Then, making his decision clear in simple words, Yi Chen declares, "Wan Yayo, let's get a divorce." Hearing the word divorce, Yayo is shocked and shouts angrily, "Yi Chen, how dare you ask me for a divorce?" And then, trying to scare and humiliate him, she comments, "If you weren't so useless, why would I? And let me tell you, I'm not kidding. After the divorce, you won't be able to live in a 100 square meter luxury apartment, and you won't be able to drive an Audi." Hearing this threat, Yi Chen lets out a cold, sarcastic laugh and mentions, "A luxury apartment and Audi, I don't need them." And shouting even louder with rage, she says, "Fine, divorce. I don't know what Grandpa was thinking when he married me to a loser like." Without losing a second, Yi Chen responds directly, "Then let's go tomorrow morning to the civil affairs office and get divorced." But then Yayo, stopping a little, comments, "Tomorrow won't be possible. Tomorrow is Grandma's birthday, and the whole family must gather at her house before 10 a.m. Then, continuing the conversation clearly, she says, "And this decision was made by the older generation. First, I have to discuss this with my family." Hearing this, Yi Chen only says, "Then explain it to your family as soon as possible. I'll wait for your call." Saying this, he takes his bag and starts to leave without looking back. From behind, Yayo screams like crazy, "Bastard loser, you'll definitely regret divorcing me. In just a few days, you'll come crawling back and beg me." But Yi Chen, completely ignoring her words, walks out of the house where it is raining heavily. He stands in the rain when his phone rings again. He answers the call and says, "Hello." And from the other side, the same old man says, "Young master, the car is waiting for you on the corner." Hearing this, Yi Chen turns to look, and there isn't just one, but an entire convoy of black Rolls-Royces parked. Next to each car are bodyguards dressed in black suits who, upon seeing Yi Chen, bow simultaneously and shout loudly, "Young master." The rain becomes more intense. Then a bodyguard steps forward and offers an umbrella. "Young master, umbrella." But Yi Chen refuses it and comments, "No need. The rain helps me clear my mind." Then another bodyguard steps forward and puts an expensive coat over Yi Chen's shoulders. And as soon as he puts on that coat, his entire aura changes, the glow-up scene. Then in a loud voice, he gives just one order, "Let's go." And as soon as the convoy moves, the people around are shocked to see this scene. From the crowd come voices, "Wow, Rolls-Royce." And someone else shouts, "They're all Rolls-Royces. What's happening?" From above, Yayo also hears this noise from the apartment window and looks down below. Confused, she thinks to herself, "Why are so many Rolls-Royces passing by here? Did some very important person come?" She has no idea that this important person is the same one she just kicked out of the house, the dramatic irony. With this, we are told about the Yi family. The world only knows mysterious families like the Rothschilds, DuPonts, and Morgans, but the most mysterious family is actually the Yi family, whose assets are over 100 billion. Yet they remain very discreet, and you won't find their name on any rich list, the ultimate hidden dragons trope. The scene changes, and Yi Chen has already arrived near a helicopter where a bodyguard respectfully says, "Young master, this way." And here we are told how the Yi family prepares its heirs. Candidates of the next generation undergo tests and selection from the age of 3. By age 5, they learn martial arts, piano, and violin simultaneously. And by age 18, they have already completed the 4-year program of an American university's business school. But it's not just studies. To mold their character, the elders of the family give them special tests. At this, Yi Chen remembers that day 3 years ago on the Yi family estate when his grandfather ordered him, "Yi Chen, I am arranging your marriage with the Wan family, a second-class family of Yunu." Returning to the present, Yi Chen, sitting in the helicopter, thinks, "At that time I accepted this test of my own will, but now all that is over." After a while, the helicopter lands on a palace-like mansion. The guards receive him. "Young master, welcome back." And so he has returned to his true home and his true identity. Looking towards the mansion, he thinks to himself, Yi Chen has returned. The scene changes again to the next morning at 10 a.m. in the Villasician area of Yunu, where the birthday of the old lady of the Wan family is being celebrated, and everyone is giving their congratulations. "Grandma, happy birthday," and "Mom, may you live 200 years. Then someone from the crowd asks Yayo, "Hey, that loser Yi Chen didn't come." Yayo hesitates a bit and comments, "He probably went to work." Hearing this, Wan Junyi and Wan Maoyan laugh and say, "Work." Delivering food, Wan Junyi says angrily, "He's a stain on our Wan family. Once he crashed into my Mercedes and I didn't have the courage to tell my friends he's our relative." Hearing all this, the old lady Wan gets furious and orders, "Call him here right now. He has no manners." Seeing Grandma's anger, Yayo panics and says, "Grandma, today he didn't come because we're getting a divorce." Hearing this, Grandma shouts, shocked, "What divorce? Who gave you permission to divorce? Did you forget that your late grandfather arranged your marriage?" Faced with this, Yayo immediately starts her crying drama. She falls to her knees and says, "Grandpa, I don't dare go against Grandpa's last wish." But Yi Chen crossed the line. He is having an affair with another woman outside. Hearing these words from Yayo, Grandma becomes even more furious and declares angrily, "That animal. For 3 years we gave him a mansion to live in, gave him luxury cars to drive." Then Wan Junyi intervenes and says, "Yayo, don't be offended because your older brother is saying this, but in this you also have some blame. 3 years have passed since your marriage, but you never let him touch you." But Grandma's anger, instead of decreasing, increases more. With a firm voice she declares, "No matter what Yayo or he have done, Yi Chen still has no right to look for another woman. Bring that animal here right now. Today I'll show him the justice of our family." Hearing Grandma's order, Yayo says fearfully, "Yes," and quickly makes the call. When the call connects, Yi Chen asks from the other side, "What is it?" And Yayo arrogantly comments, "Grandma wants you to come." But Yi Chen, without thinking, responds directly, "I'm not coming." And saying this, he hangs up. Seeing this, Yayo fills with rage and thinks to herself, "How dare he hang up on me?" Then she informs Grandma, "He's not coming." Hearing this, Grandma's temper completely flares up and she declares angrily, "The value of a live-in son-in-law is no more than that of a dog, and yet he has the audacity to throw a tantrum. Junyi, you go and bring him here by force." Junyi happily says, "Okay." Saying this, he leaves. After Junyi leaves, Grandma addresses everyone and says, "Today I called you all early because yesterday at the Jiasheng group, a new chairman arrived. No one knows who he is or where he came from." Then she explains, "Right now we are negotiating a 70 million funding deal, but the contract hasn't been signed yet. Everyone knows that our Dinshin real estate has always collaborated with the Jiasheng group. That's why building good relations with the new chairman of the Jiasheng group is the most important thing for the future of our Wan family." On the other hand, the scene changes where we see Yi Chen, and his bodyguard asks, a little confused, "Young master, why are you still wearing the delivery clothes?" Faced with this, Yi Chen responds in a calm tone, "Today is the last day of my contract as a delivery person. I want to finish what I started." And he thinks to himself that it's not yet time to reveal his identity. It's easier to see the enemy in the open when I'm in the shadow. Then suddenly his phone rings, and there we see Wan Junyi, who comes in his car to look for Yi Chen. On the call he says, "Hello Yi Chen, it's Wan Junyi. Where are you? Let's talk." And Yi Chen, without fear, responds calmly, "I'm delivering food in the Luyan residential community." Wan Junyi, with a cold laugh, says, "I'm coming there right now. Wait for me." And shortly after, Junyi brings his car at full speed. He arrives near Yi Chen and brakes hard. Then he rolls down the car window and says with an arrogant attitude, "Get in the car. Grandma wants to see you." Hearing this, Yi Chen, without stopping, responds directly, "Even if your grandma supports Wan Yayo, it's pointless. I'm getting a divorce anyway." Hearing Yi Chen's words, Wan Junyi gets furious and shouts angrily, "Are you crazy? My grandma is going to support you. She wants to give you family justice." Faced with this, Yi Chen calmly asks, "Family justice based on what?" Hearing this question, Junyi becomes even angrier and pointing his finger blames him. "Based on you looking for a woman outside. No matter what Wan Yayo is, she's still a member of the Wan family. You wronged the Wan family, so you deserve to die." Hearing this, Yi Chen slowly takes off his helmet and asks in surprise, "I look for a woman outside. That's what Wan Yayo said." And in the next moment, he can't contain his laughter and laughs out loud. Seeing his laughter, Junyi, annoyed, asks, "What are you laughing at?" Then Yi Chen's face becomes completely serious and he thinks angrily to himself, "Wan Yayo, that shameless woman. Even bullying has a limit." Seeing Yi Chen's changing aura, Junyi's heart feels a little fear and he thinks to himself, "What's happening? Why did Yi Chen's expression suddenly become so terrifying, as if a superior is looking down on everyone?" But then he convinces himself, "No, I'm definitely seeing wrong. How can this useless trash have such an aura?" Hearing this, Junyi opens the car door and gets out threateningly. "It seems your skin is itching again." And he advances to attack Yi Chen. "I'm going to beat you up." But before he can raise his hand, Yi Chen turns and delivers a powerful kick to his face, making Junyi scream in pain. And with anger he says, "You trash, you dared to fight back." Saying this, he takes a knife from his pocket and shouts, "I'm going to carry out family justice for Grandma. I'm going to cut you and kill you." And saying this, he begins to attack quickly with the knife. Slash, slash, slash. But Yi Chen, with great ease, dodges all his attacks and with a precise hit strikes his hand, making the knife fall. Immediately after, Yi Chen unleashes a rain of punches, brutally hitting Junyi's face. In just a few seconds, Junyi falls to the ground and screams in pain. "Ow, ow." After leaving Junyi in a bad state, Yi Chen gives him a cold warning. "Go back and tell the Wan family that I am no longer their dog who comes when called and leaves when signaled. No one can give me orders unless I want it." Lying on the ground, Junny shouts angrily, You live in son-in-law, just wait. The scene changes and we see the view of the Wanjeo hotel. There the old lady Wan is waiting and then Junny also arrives. Seeing him, she says happily, Junny, always so efficient. But then Junny staggers out of the car and cries, Grandma. Seeing Junny's swollen face, Grandma is shocked and asks, My good grandson, who hit you like this? Who beat you? Junny, crying, complains, Grandma, it was that useless husband of Wan Yeaya who hit. Hearing this, Junny's father, Wan Yeachin, who is standing nearby, turns red with anger and declares, That useless thing dared to hurt you. I want him dead. Then he says, Let's call the police, Grandma. Faced with this, Grandma, shaking her head, explains, This is a family matter. Don't worry. I'll definitely make him receive the punishment he deserves. If we call the police, this shameful matter will easily spread through the news. Then Grandma turns to Yeachin and orders, Yeachin, I know you have some friends in the underworld. Let them teach that animal a hard lesson and bring him back before me. There Yi Chen is walking. Then two big thugs block his way and ask, Are you Yi Chen? Come with us. Seeing them, Yi Chen understands and comments, The Wan family sent people again, right? Today is my last day delivering food. I'm not going anywhere. Hearing his words, the thug says angrily, You're refusing a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. First, break his hands, then we'll talk. And both attack him, but in the next moment, only screams are heard. And after beating them all, Yi Chen checks his delivery bag and sighs in relief, saying, Luckily, the work wasn't affected. But then one of the thugs, with courage, gets up to attack from behind and shouts, Wait. Hearing this, Yi Chen, without turning, just throws a powerful punch backward, making that thug fly through the air and fall far away, lying there motionless. Yi Chen checks his bag again and says, Luckily, the food is okay. After this, he gets on his scooter and heading towards the next destination, comments, Only one last order left. Huan Yan nervously informs his mother, Mom, the professional fighters I hired were taken down by Yi Chen. The old Madame Wan is shocked and furious. Is there no one who can handle that beast? Nearby guests murmur in surprise. My God, could that useless live-in son-in-law actually be a martial artist? An elderly man nearby speaks up. Madame, Mr. Ma Kun, the general agent for 2&2 Delivery, has come to offer his birthday congratulations. Hearing the name, Yeachin says, Isn't he Yi Chen's boss? Mom, I have a good idea. Ma Kun enters holding expensive wine. He approaches respectfully. Madame, I heard you enjoy drinking. Here is a bottle of 1990 Romanée Conti for you. Happy birthday, I wish you a long and healthy life. Madame Wan accepts the gift, her face downcast. Thank you, President Ma. Ma Kun notices her mood. Madame Wan, what's wrong? You seem upset. Madame Wan takes a deep breath. President Ma, I'm afraid you'll laugh, but our Wan family is facing a serious domestic problem. Yeachin interjects. It's because of Yi Chen, the live-in son-in-law. Ma Kun is surprised. That live-in son-in-law cheated and hurt your young master. He thinks to himself, then laments aloud. It's a pity I don't have many connections here, or I'd teach that ungrateful fool a lesson. Yeachin quickly adds, No, President Ma, you can help. That wretch is your employee. He works for 2&2 Delivery. Ma Kun is stunned. Yi Chen is a delivery employee. A confident smile appears on his face. President Wan, leave this matter to me. Ma Kun immediately calls on his phone. Hello, Zio Li. Check employee Yi Chen's number and location. Good, assign him an order right now. Location, Grand Wan Hotel. 15 minutes later, Yi Chen arrives outside. He calls, Mr. Ma, your delivery is here. I'm at the hotel entrance. Ma Kun's voice is cold. Bring it inside. Yi Chen grows suspicious. This is the Wan family's venue, he says politely. Hotel policy doesn't allow couriers inside. Please come out to collect it. Ma Kun replies, Fine, wait there, and hangs up. Outside, Yi Chen hears multiple footsteps. Damn, this is a trap. Ma Kun emerges with Madame Wan and the whole family. Madame Wan, this way, he says respectfully. He walks straight up to Yi Chen. Take off your uniform and credentials now. Yi Chen is confused. What do you mean? Junny laughs loudly. Idiot, this is your top boss, Ma Kun, general agent of 2&2 Delivery. Ma Kun adds threateningly, If you don't believe me, I'll have manager Key call you. Yi Chen's phone rings immediately. The manager shouts, Yi Chen, how did you offend President Ma? You're fired. Hearing this, Yi Chen's anger and disappointment explode. I wanted to end this peacefully, but this bastard ruined everything. Ma Kun yells, Hurry up, take it off, you're fired, strip, take it all off. Furious, Yi Chen removes his jacket. Someone recording laughs. Ha ha ha, he looks exactly like a stray dog. Yeachin mocks him. Useless trash, where's your arrogance now? You dared to hit my son, didn't you? Ignoring them, Yi Chen says calmly, Boss Ma, I heard your agency contract with 2&2 Delivery expires this. Ma Kun is shocked and angry. How does he know? He feigns confidence. What does that have to do with you? Yi Chen announces, No need to go to the capital to discuss renewal. You won't be an agent anymore. Ma Kun is furious. Who do you think you are? You say I can't be an agent, so I can't. Do you know how close my relationship is with 2&2 CEO? Madame Wan, sitting nearby, intervenes angrily. Yi Chen, you animal, kneel. She announces to the crowd, Today in front of everyone, I will execute family justice on you. First, you cheated and wronged Yao. Then you hit my grandson. Yi Chen refuses clearly. Old lady, keep dreaming. Why would I kneel? Madame Wan reminds him of the past. 3 years ago, when you married into our family, you personally promised me. I ask you, does that old promise of yours still count? That if you ever did something harmful to the Wan family, you would accept our family's justice. Yi Chen stands fearlessly, chest high. What I, Yi Chen, say naturally counts. Madame Wan immediately orders, good, bring the Wan family's joint dragon ruler. Ye Chen quickly responds, yes. A moment later, they bring a shining golden dragon ruler, the ultimate +5 family drama weapon. This punishment weapon is explained, being struck on the face with it causes pain for at least 3 days. A few more strikes and the flesh rots. Madame Wan orders angrily, Ye Chen, hit him 20 times for me. Ye Chen takes the ruler. Yes. Yao's father Wan Yi steps forward. Mother, it was my fault for not disciplining my son-in-law properly. Let me teach him personally. But at that moment, Yao herself arrives and snatches the ruler from her father's hand. Let me do it. He's my husband. Let me hit him. Seeing this, Yi Chen wears a different expression. A sarcastic smile appears. He directly attacks Yao's hypocrisy. First, you cheated and then framed me for cheating. That wasn't enough. Now you want to slap my face too. He doesn't stop but elevates his sarcasm. Wow, what a good wife. I really married a once-in-a-century virtuous wife. The ultimate backhanded compliment. Hearing this bitter truth, Yao's face turns red with anger. But in the next moment, to satisfy her ego and show power, she announces loudly, he is my husband. If anyone is going to hit him, that right is mine alone. She justifies this to herself. Just as she's thinking this, the scene suddenly changes. Junyi, standing nearby, lunges forward and snatches the dragon ruler from Yao's hand. His anger is out of control. His face red, he shouts at Yi Chen, you damn dog. As soon as the weapon is in his hand, Junyi's confidence soars. He advances on Yi Chen with full force. How dare you hit me? Watch me ruin your face today. He swings the ruler through the air. But before it hits Yi Chen, there's a twist. Yi Chen, with lightning speed, catches Junyi's wrist in midair. Before Junyi can react, Yi Chen counterattacks, planting a powerful slap directly on Junyi's face. The slap is so forceful Junyi screams in pain. The talk shit, get hit principle in action. All the guests are shocked. No one can believe the Wan family's live-in son-in-law actually raised a hand against the Wan grandson. People begin to murmur. Oh my god, what just happened? Seeing her grandson hit, Madame Wan's anger peaks. She shouts, do you have any idea how many department heads and directors are here? She threatens him. Those people can have you arrested on the spot and thrown in jail. Despite the grave threat, Yi Chen stands completely relaxed, his mind cold. I believe all the guests here saw clearly. It was Wan Junyi who attacked me with a weapon first. I was only defending myself. A guest steps from the crowd, complicating things. But you just said you were willing to accept the Wan family's justice. Yet when it was time for punishment, you went back on your word. Is that fitting for a man? Others support him. Absolutely right. This guy isn't trustworthy. Yi Chen interrupts them, stating his condition. I am willing to accept the Wan family's justice, on the condition that I have actually done wrong. Hearing this, Madame Wan explodes. You sought women behind Yao's back and hit my grandson. Isn't that enough? Now Yi Chen's patience ends. He puts the truth before everyone. In these 3 years, I loved Wan Yao with all my heart. My attention never strayed. Then he shouts, I'll tell the real truth. The one who cheated is your granddaughter. Yesterday, she took a room with Feng Xiao at the Yihua Hotel. You can check the room records if you want. Hearing the name, an uproar breaks out in the crowd. Everyone is surprised, talking all at once. Feng Xiao, the second young master of the Feng family. Someone else says, I heard long ago the Wan family was looking for a Feng son as a son-in-law. Seems it's true. Gossip spreads. Seeing her reputation trampled, Yao gets nervous and immediately starts covering up. She tells her grandmother and everyone, don't listen to his nonsense. Yesterday, I met Feng Xiao only to discuss business. She defends herself with logic. Everyone knows our Jin Chen real estate is raising capital these days. I only went with young Master Feng to discuss funding. Yi Chen immediately counterattacks. To discuss business, you needed to get a hotel room. To talk, you needed to use a towel. He points at the crowd. Do you take everyone here for fools? The atmosphere is heating up when suddenly some people looking toward the door shout, Hey, young Master Feng has arrived. Another man laughs. Perfect timing. We speak of him and he appears. Feng Xiao arrives and asks, what's going on here with everyone? Seeing Feng Xiao, Yao runs to him, acting the poor victim. Young Master Feng, this live-in son-in-law is forcibly accusing me of having an affair with you. She makes a request. Quick, tell everyone I really only went to discuss business with you yesterday. Hearing Yao's words, Feng Xiao boils with anger inside. This useless freeloader actually exposed my affair with Wan Yao in front of so many people. But outwardly calm, he addresses the crowd. Please, everyone, don't pay attention to this useless Yi Chen's words. Yao and I are innocent. He explains, yesterday, she only came to deliver a document to me. Then, with total arrogance, he turns to Yi Chen and challenges him. You're saying I'm having an affair with Yao. Do you have any evidence? A video? A photo? Saying this, he feels happy inside because he knows the evidence has been deleted. Let's see what this live-in son-in-law has to say now. To make his argument stronger, Feng Xiao creates a new story in front of everyone. He draws the crowd to his side. Who would have thought his attitude would be so terrible? He threw my ordered food on the ground. He concludes, "That's why I gave him a 1-star rating. That's the only reason for his anger." To prove his point, he immediately points out Ma Kun in the crowd. By chance, the Tuan delivery general agent, Boss Ma, is also here. He says to Boss Ma, please check your delivery records from yesterday." Hearing this, Boss Ma takes out his phone and checking confirms, young Master Feng is absolutely correct. Yesterday, he really received a 1-star rating. He gives details. Hearing this, the guests present begin to look at Yi Chen with disdainful eyes and pass comments. Hearing everyone's words, Yi Chen looks directly at Yao and questions, "Why did I throw that delivery on the ground? Won't you help explain this?" But Yao blames him. "This happened because you're not diligent in your work. Your tolerance is too weak." Hearing this from her mouth, Yi Chen starts laughing heartily. He laughs, then throws an indirect remark. "Wow, what a thing, not diligent in your work. What tolerance?" Then he laments in his mind. "Yi Chen, what hopes do you still have for this self-interested woman?" After this, he gets serious and asks in front of everyone, "You all say I sought women outside. Do you have any proof?" Hearing this, Madame Wan looks questioningly at Yao, who fearfully shakes her head in denial. With no proof, Madame Wan changes the subject. "Since none of you have proof, then let's end this matter here. But the fact that you hit my grandson cannot end just like that." Hearing this, Yi Chen responds, "He attacked me with a knife at the entrance of the Lu Yuan residential community." Giving logic, he mentions, "There are cameras there, and the community security can also testify. I was only defending myself within the legal framework." He challenges directly, "If you want to pursue this, let's call the police. If I go in, I guarantee he won't escape consequences either." Hearing this, Madame Wan is enraged and throws an indirect remark. "Fine. 3 years eating my Wan family's bread, you've become quite capable, haven't you?" Angrily, she asks, "After hitting my grandson, the next step is to hit me." But hearing this, Yi Chen says calmly, "Madame Wan, I have always respected you." Making a promise, he mentions, "I promise you, as long as Wan Zhenyi doesn't provoke me first in the future, I will have no problem with." Then he makes his final demand. "I only have one request. I hope you will permit me and Wan Yao to divorce." Hearing the word divorce, Madame Wan declares, "Fine, that's just fine." Then she announces loudly, "Friends, everyone knows 3 years ago my family took in a live-in son-in-law. This marriage was arranged by my late husband. In these 3 years, although Yao was unhappy, she continues her speech. To fulfill the elder's last wish, Yao's parents spoke to me several times about divorce, but I refused each time." Hearing this, murmurs break out among the guests. Then she continued, "My granddaughter Yao is considered the #1 beauty of Yun City by everyone's affection. I don't need to say who is worthy of whom." Then she announces her final decision. "Today, this Yi Chen hit my grandson and slandered my granddaughter and our family friend Feng Xiao." She shouts clearly, "I have decided I will no longer respect my late husband's last wish. I announce that Yi Chen, from now on, is not my Wan family's son-in-law. From this moment, he is expelled from my Wan family. The ultimate, you can't fire me, I quit, but reversed." Hearing this, Chen orders a waiter. "Waiter, serve drinks to everyone for the celebration." After that, the atmosphere changes. The waiter serves wine to everyone, and as expected, happy for the Wan family's decision, all the guests begin to congratulate. "Congratulations, Madame Wan. Congratulations, Yao." Everyone says in unison, and a strange kind of joy spreads in the air. Amid this celebration, Wan Yao's mother steps forward, capturing attention. "Thank you, everyone. By the way, I want to give you all some good news." Declaring with much pride, she says, "Our Yao and Yi Chen have slept separately for the last 3 years. He hasn't even touched our Yao's hand." Making the matter even clearer, she emphasizes, Yao is still a virgin. At this point, hearing these words from her mother, Yao blushes red with embarrassment. "Mom." But hearing this, Yi Chen thinks to himself, "This is nothing more than business." He analyzes, "This is Wan Yao's choice, to be valued by the family as some kind of commodity so that in the end the highest bidder can buy her." The meaning was clear. By proclaiming her virginity, they were increasing her market value, the ultimate for sale sign. After this, Yi Chen also takes a glass of wine that's there, but not to drink. Extending the glass toward Yao, he passes one last sarcastic comment. "Wan Yao, congratulations. Finally, you can find a man who matches your stature." Hearing this, Yao returns to her old arrogance. She feels Yi Chen is still afraid of losing her. So arrogantly, she declares, "If you kneel and beg me now, then maybe I'll ask Grandma not to give you the divorce for now." Hearing this, Yi Chen responds, full of anger and hatred, clarifying her misunderstanding. "You cheated on me, and on top of that, you want me to kneel and beg you." The matter returns to the same point. In Yi Chen's gaze, no respect for Yao remains. He then turns the wine glass over and pours all the alcohol onto the floor, a direct insult, and continues saying, "You are not worthy of this." Seeing this attitude from Yi Chen, Yao's anger reaches the 7th heaven. She can't believe the person who until yesterday obeyed her every word is now rejecting her. She thinks to herself, Yi Chen, this vile and disgusting man, has gone crazy today. He's rebelled directly. Grandma, just giving him the divorce would be a great escape for him. We can't let him go so easily. He humiliated us. Zhenyi, standing nearby and already upset with Yi Chen, also seizes the opportunity and supports her. Then, addressing all the guests present, she shouts loudly for all to hear. "Listen, everyone. This Yi Chen has wasted 3 precious years of my granddaughter's youth and moreover hit my grandson. He took advantage of our trust maliciously. Everyone here today are big shots from various industries in Yun City. You all have status. So I ask all of you, please help me and cut off every single one of his means to make a living. He must realize what the result of opposing us is, the classic, ruin his life villain speech. Hearing old Madame Wan's words, murmuring begins. People start talking amongst themselves in surprise. Interrupting the discussion, Feng Xiao steps from the crowd. Not wanting to miss this chance to look good in the Wan family's eyes, he announces, representing the Feng family, I am ready to support the Wan family. People in the crowd immediately recognize him. Hey, this is the eldest son of the Feng family. That same family that owns the largest chain of affordable luxury hotels in Yun City. As soon as Feng Xiao finishes speaking, it's as if a competition has begun. Another man steps forward. Listen, everyone, I am John He, owner of the Luyi, Luanyi, and San Ti Tian Tian restaurants. Showing his power and experience, he says, I've been in Yun City's catering business for 20 years. I am also ready to support the Wan family to stop Yi Chen's livelihood in this city. He barely finishes speaking when Ma Kun, not wanting to be left behind, also steps forward. I am your younger brother, Ma Kun, general agent for 2 and 2 in delivery in Yun City. Seeing so many people against him, Yi Chen isn't scared. Instead, he begins to count calmly. Hotels, waitering, food delivery. These 3 industries have already completely blacklisted me. You've put in all your effort. Then he asks mockingly, are there any other industries left? If so, let them step forward too. Hearing this, a man steps forward and shouts, I am the CEO of Golden Mini Karaoke. My dream is to have zero connection with you. No karaoke or bar in Yun City will have a place for you in the entertainment industry, blocking the fun employment. We need to block this path too. She asks the crowd, who among you can also close off this path? Who has influence over all the rich people? Hearing this, the hall suddenly falls silent, and people begin to murmur. In Yun City, there are many rich people. No one can claim to know all the rich people of Yun City and influence them, right? It will be very hard to find a single person like that. Then the scene changes and our gaze falls on an extremely beautiful girl. Sitting elegantly on a sofa, she hadn't been paying attention to any of this. Her mere presence indicated she was different from everyone else, the mysterious beauty archetype. Seeing that girl, Wan Yaochen is stunned, his soul seemingly gone. He thinks, who is this beautiful lady? When did she arrive? I didn't notice. The next moment he realizes she isn't just any guest and nervously steps forward quick. Oh, President Qin, when did you arrive? Forgive me for not receiving you at the door. Please pardon me. I've made a huge mistake. Ma Kun doesn't recognize her and asks in surprise, President Wan, who is this beauty? Please introduce us. Who is she to make you so worried? Yaochen, staring at him, thinks, Ma Kun, have you really been provincial in Yun City? You don't know this lady. Your ignorance will cost you dearly. Then, presenting her to everyone with pride, he says clearly, she is the famous vice president of the Jiasheng Group, President Qin Hongyan. Her name alone is enough. Hearing the name, an uproar breaks out in the entire hall. The impact is clearly seen on everyone's faces. This great beauty is the vice president of the Jiasheng Group. People begin to talk in surprise. Although the chairman of Jiasheng has always been like a divine dragon, seen only in shadow, never face, I've heard the vice president Qin's power is immense. She's the real public face of the company. Someone else adds, you said it well. In the country, the big international orders worth hundreds of billions that they received were all signed by her personally. It can be said she is below 1 man, but above 10,000. He thinks to himself, oh, the vice president of my company. That means she works for me. On this side, Wan Yaochen doesn't want to miss any opportunity to impress President Qin. Her reach is above all others. Ma Kun also immediately supports him. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Along with President Qin's impressive beauty, she's probably that one person all the rich people of Yun City want to know. Hearing this, Qin Hongyan becomes a bit sarcastic. She didn't like this flattery. She declares, by your words, it seems as if I'm having an affair with all the rich people of Yun City. Watch your words, the I'm not a gold digger clapback. Hearing these cutting words, Ma Kun gets nervous and immediately begins to apologize. Sorry, my tongue slipped, that wasn't my intention. But despite apologizing outwardly, Ma Kun is thinking something else. Swallowing his saliva, he has a dirty thought. President Qin, please take action and cut off this Yi Chen's livelihood. Your one word will be enough. At the same time, he calculates in his mind. My Wan family recently gave quite a few benefits to this Vice President Qin to obtain 70 million in financing from the Jiasheng Group. I hope she supports us. Meanwhile, Qin Hongyan takes a cigarette from her bag and places it between her lips. Her style was completely carefree. Seeing this, all the men present like madmen, take out their lighters and step forward, hoping to be the first to light her cigarette and get her attention, the simping Olympics. But Qin Hongyan ignores them all as if they aren't there. With her finger, she makes a gesture and calls to Yi Chen, who is standing in the crowd. Come here. Seeing this, Yi Chen thinks to himself, this vice president of my company, whom I've never met, is a bit interesting. Putting everything aside, she's calling me. Then he asks, what do you want? Chin Hongyan orders directly, light my cigarette. Hearing this, all the people are stunned. They murmur amongst themselves. President Chin actually asked that useless trash to light her cigarette. We're all standing here and she chose him. I don't understand what special quality or talent that useless trash has. Maybe she wants to humiliate. But surprising everyone, Yi Chen directly refuses. I don't have a lighter. The people are shocked again. He doesn't have a lighter. There are so many lighters here present, you don't know how to ask. He's really publicly rejecting the top goddess of Yun City's wealthy circle, Chin Hongyan. Look at his audacity, the ultimate I don't care flex. Hearing this, Chin Hongyan rises from her seat and approaches Yi Chen. On her face, there is nothing but something more. Getting very close, she asks, name. Hearing this, Yi Chen asks, what name? Chin Hongyan emphasizes again, your name. Yi Chen says in an irritated tone, can't you hear well? Didn't Wan Yaochen just say my name is Yi Chen? Why do you need to ask over and over? Hearing this, Wan Yaochen shouts angrily, you don't have permission to disrespect President Chin. Know your place. But Chin Hongyan, raising her hand, signals for him to be quiet. She was liking this attitude from Yi Chen. She gets even closer to Yi Chen, so close the distance between them becomes almost nothing. She puts her hand on Yi Chen's chest and says, Yi Chen, just because your surname is the same as our newly appointed chairman of the Jiasheng group, I want to give you a way out. Take advantage of this coincidence. She looks him up and down and slowly says, looking at you carefully, you actually look quite good. You have something about you. Then she makes an offer that leaves everyone shocked. Listen to my request, and then I'll let you become my personal bodyguard. How about it? Hearing this, an uproar breaks out in the entire hall. People exclaim, President Chin is trying to save that guy Yi Chen. We want to ruin him, and she's giving him a job, becoming the personal bodyguard of such a great beauty. Could it be President Chin's heart has fallen for that guy? This is a change of fortune. Yao, standing far away and seeing all this, burns with anger and confusion. She doesn't understand why this great lady is saving the man she wants to cast out. What does this Chin Hongyan mean? Amid this uproar, a bell rings in Wan Yaochen's mind. Suddenly, impacted, he realizes the new chairman's surname is also the same as this guy's. Without wasting time, he immediately asks, the surname of the new chairman of the Jiasheng group is also Yi. He can't control his curiosity. To confirm the matter, he continues, President Chin, may I know the full name of Chairman Yi? Hearing this direct question, Chin Hongyan becomes a bit defensive. The truth was she herself didn't know this, but hiding her ignorance and showing confidence, she says, I'm sorry. Chairman Yi for now doesn't want many people to know about, but Chin Hongyan, who appears confident on the outside, is scared inside and thinks, I myself don't know the name of that mysterious new chairman. If they find out, it will be a joke. Seeing her condition and mask of confidence, Yi Chen smiles inwardly and thinks, she definitely doesn't know my identity, or else she wouldn't have asked me to light her cigarette earlier. Understanding the situation, Yi Chen asks directly, President Chin, how do you plan to arrange my livelihood? In response, Chin Hongyan, without any qualms, sets a condition and declares, as long as you kneel and apologize separately to old Madame Wan, to Wan Junyi, and to your wife, I am willing to intervene and save. After that, I'll hire you as my personal bodyguard with a salary of 200,000 a year. Hearing her offer, comments begin among the people present. People start murmuring. President Chin is trying to save that guy Yi Chen. Why? Someone calculating in surprise mentions, just by bowing and asking for forgiveness, he'll be saved from the blacklist and also become the personal bodyguard of a beauty like President Chin. This wretch will definitely say yes. Hearing all this, the anger of Yao, standing far away, increases even more. She thinks, what's wrong with this woman? She's constantly defending Yi Chen. She immediately goes to her grandmother and complains. Grandmother, President Chin is trying to go against you. But old Madame Wan's reaction is completely unexpected. Instead of getting angry, impressed by Chin Hongyan's shrewdness, she comments, this woman is a player of a very high level. It's no surprise she's vice president of Jiasheng at such a young age. Explaining the situation there, she says, look, she doesn't bother anyone easily and can make any man become her admirer and feel grateful. Now everyone thinks Yi Chen will take this golden offer with open hands. But then Yi Chen's face becomes completely cold, and without any doubt, he responds directly, I refuse. Hearing this direct answer, Yao's eyes fly wide open. Chin Hongyan can't believe what she's hearing. She shouts in anger and frustration. Say that again? In her mind, she couldn't digest this. This little live-in son-in-law actually rejected me in front of everyone. Then suddenly the scene takes a turn. Yi Chen quickly steps forward and getting very close to Chin Hongyan, grabs her ear. Pulling her ear, he shouts loudly, I said I refuse. Seeing this, Chin Hongyan screams in pain. Ah, her ear goes numb, and on her face, pain and shame are visible at the same time. The ultimate, how dare you touch me shock. Seeing this disrespect, Yaochen loses control, and pointing his finger at Yi Chen shouts, how dare you raise a hand against President Chin. But Yi Chen completely relaxed, justifying his action while mocking comments, I thought President Chin couldn't hear well, so I went close to her ear and spoke. Seeing her humiliation, Chin Hongyan's anger goes out of control. Staring fixedly at Yi Chen, she challenges him. Fine, very fine, Yi Chen, you have guts. Boiling with anger in her mind, she thinks this live-in son-in-law doesn't know what's good for him. Now the matter goes directly to threats. She turns toward the old madame and announces in front of everyone. Old Madame Wan, I, Chin Hongyan, Vice President of the Jiasheng Group, am ready to support the Wan family and will block every single path for Yi Chen to survive in Yun City. As soon as this final announcement is made, the guests present begin to laugh at Yi Chen. One man throws an indirect remark. Yi Chen, the useless trash, can't even become a bodyguard now. Another man, also laughing, adds fuel to the fire and predicts the future. Later, you won't have any chance to survive in Yun City. Seeing all this, Yao feels satisfaction in her mind and says, You cut off your own feet with an axe. You should have just endured everything I did to you quietly. And after hearing all this, when everyone thought Yi Chen would surrender, he asks Chin Hongyan a technical question. Chin Hongyan, may I ask if what you just said is your personal decision or the Jiasheng Group's decision? Chin Hongyan, without hesitation and with total confidence, responds, It is absolutely the decision of both. In response, Yi Chen traps her in a logical trap and declares, You are vice president of the Jiasheng Group, not the chairman. So what right do you have to represent the stance of the Jiasheng Group? Hearing this logical argument from Yi Chen, murmuring begins in the crowd. People realize he's right and start saying, Absolutely correct. President Chin's position isn't the highest in the Jiasheng Group. Another guest from a legal angle mentions, Logically speaking, she can't make decisions in the chairman's name. A third man adds, Anyway, there's no deep relationship between them. Hearing these words from the people, Chin Hongyan feels she's getting into trouble. To save herself and maintain her respect, she decides to tell a big lie and declares, Fine, I originally didn't want to say this, but since today you want to die knowing the truth, I'll tell everyone. Actually, the newly appointed chairman of the Jiasheng Group is my lover. Hearing this, the mind of the real chairman, that is, Yi Chen, is shaken. He thinks with surprise, Damn, when did I become your lover? Chin Hongyan, shocked, it slips from his mouth. What? Chin Hongyan stands firm in her false story and emphasizes clearly, I said Chairman Yi is my lover. Yi Chen, hearing this, thinks to himself, Aren't you ashamed to call me your lover to my face? And hearing this bombshell revelation from Chin Hongyan, murmuring breaks out among the present guests, and everyone looks at each other in surprise. People connecting the dots comment, that mysterious Chairman Yi is actually President Chin's boyfriend. That's why he suddenly appeared in Yun City. Immediately flattering, he comments, President Chin, why didn't you say this before? If Chairman Yi is your lover, then we can breathe easy. Yaochin calculates in his mind, overflowing with happiness. The Wan family already gave money to Chin Hongyan. Since Chin Hongyan is the chairman's lover, then the 70 million financing is practically guaranteed. Then Chin Hongyan, a bit embarrassed and trying to cover her lie, manages the matter clearly. My boyfriend is very serious about his work. He always keeps work and personal life completely separate. The matter doesn't end there. Then, advancing, she asks the crowd to help ensure this lie isn't discovered. So I hope everyone helps me keep this matter a secret. Seeing this drama from Chin Hongyan, Yi Chen finds it laughable inside. Understanding the irony of the situation, he thinks to himself, this woman first boasted with great pride, but now she's afraid other people will leak this outside, so now she put forth this excuse about secrecy. Seeing him laugh, Chin Hongyan feels insulted. She gets irritated and asks, What are you laughing at, Yi Chen? To give her a reality check, he throws an indirect remark. I heard Chairman Yi is not only extremely rich but also handsome and talented. Although President Chin is a bit attractive, the question is, would she be Chairman Yi's choice? Probably not, right? Hearing this, Chin Hongyan's ego is wounded, and she starts boasting even more. With arrogance, showing off her achievements, she says, Chairman Yi also fell in love with me at first sight. He rented an entire island in Southeast Asia, arranged a spectacular confession ceremony, and got down on one knee to ask me to be his girlfriend. The ultimate fanfiction moment. The crowd, hearing this, says wow and is completely impressed. But being the real chairman, Yi Chen is shocked to hear this and thinks, Woman, do you really know how to make up stories? Very well. Then, tired of this pointless discussion, he says, Forget it. I don't want to argue with you anymore. At this point, Yi Chen shifts his attention and, turning directly toward Yao, announces his final decision. Yao, let's go right now to the Civil Affairs Office to start the divorce process. Hearing this, Yao also responds with equal anger. Fine, let's go. But then Junny blocks their path. He doesn't want to let them go so easily and says in a mocking tone, Don't be in such a hurry. Leave after eating at the birthday banquet. When we start the feast in a bit, we'll also put a bowl out for you by the door. After all, after eating, you have to leave Yun City. The eat like a dog insult. Then Junny turns toward Ma Kun and, remembering old stories, comments, I still have to thank you, Boss Ma. That scene outside where you made Yi Chen take off his clothes was classic. Exactly like training a dog. Ma Kun, also happy to hear his praise, says, Young Master Wan is being too polite. He makes a final decision. Ma Kun's job must end right now. There will be no more audience after this. Without wasting a second, he immediately takes out his phone and dials a special number. On the other side comes that respectful voice of an old man. Third young master. Without wasting time to confirm his target, Yi Chen asks, "That man who works delivering food and always insisted on giving food to my grandfather. What was his name? I don't remember." Over the phone, the old man immediately confirms the details. "You are talking about the CEO of Tuan Delivery, John Chu." Hearing the name, Yi Chen orders directly. "Exactly. It's him. Contact him now and tell him to revoke the Tuan Delivery Agency in Yun City with immediate effect." Hearing this, all the people present are shocked. They can't believe their ears about what level of matter this guy is talking about and to whom he is giving orders. Over the phone, the old man, continuing the matter, mentions, "Yes, he has always wanted to meet the old master and get in contact with him, so he will surely be happy to do this job for you. Thinking about it, his net worth now exceeds 50 billion, so he is worthy of eating with the old master." Hearing this, Yi Chen, a bit impressed like an elder, comments, "Hectometers. This kid has made quite good progress in recent years. Someday set up a meeting with me. I'll give him an audience." The old man immediately obeys. "Yes, young master." As soon as Yi Chen hangs up the phone, there is silence for a moment because people don't understand if this was real or some joke. The calm before the face slap moment. But in the next moment, Junyi begins to laugh uproariously as if he heard the biggest joke of the century. "Yi Chen, what kind of drama are you putting on?" He wipes a tear from his eye. Calling the CEO of Tuan, giving him orders. "Your delusion of grandeur is clinically significant. Did getting kicked out fry your last brain cell?" The entire hall erupts in mocking laughter. Everyone convinced they're witnessing the pathetic final act of a desperate man. Ma Kun shakes his head with a pitying smirk. "Kid, you could have just knelt. Now you've made a fool of yourself in front of the entire city." Qin Hongyan looks on with cold disdain, and Wan Yao feels a twisted sense of vindication. "This is what you get for defying me," she thinks. "Your grandfather is just a farmer. The CEO has billions in wealth. Would he eat with your grandfather? Damn it, are you living in some dream?" He also stares at Yi Chen with anger. He feels all this is just for attention and comments. "How disgusting you are. If you have no capability, then you have none. Why put on this drama?" But on this side, Qin Hongyan, who is standing there, has her eyes fixed on Yi Chen. She isn't sweeping her gaze like the others, but is thinking something profound. Then suddenly cutting through the atmosphere, Ma Kun's phone rings. Ma Kun looks at the screen and excitedly shouts, "It's the CEO." He immediately answers the phone and begins to flatter him. "CEO, I was just thinking these past few days about calling you so we could discuss the contract renewal." But from the other side of the phone comes the CEO's voice, full of anger, shattering all illusions. "I'm calling specifically to inform you that your agency rating in Yun City has been revoked." Hearing this, the ground vanishes beneath Ma Kun's feet. He doesn't understand what happened and falls into deep shock. And friends, the chapter ends here. Until then, goodbye. The ex-boss instantly turns pale, his face doing that classic manhwa whiteout like a printer running out of ink, and a cold sweat starts to drip down his face as he hears the terrible news. Desperate, he looks at the guests, his internal monologue screaming that he can't be embarrassed in front of so many important people. This wasn't in the villain's script. So the scumbag starts talking loudly, lying to everyone that the contract was renewed for a fee of 8 million. His voice the confident boom of a final boss who hasn't seen the health bar above his head. While the voice on the phone says the partnership is over, Mackin keeps pretending they're going out for drinks to celebrate, hitting the emotional range of a bad K-drama actor. He says his goodbyes, promising a pleasant future cooperation, even as the CEO is calling him a lunatic on the line. He then hangs up, laughing with the nervous energy of a man who just sent a risky text and is waiting for the scene notification. Our protagonist sees right through the pathetic act the man is putting on, feeling the second-hand cringe so hard it's a physical sensation. Mikin then turns to the other guests and assures them with a straight face that the deal is totally sealed. His smile so forced it looks like it was uploaded with a slow internet connection. Hearing the good news, Wang Xiaowi proposes a toast, and the liar drinks the wine mixed with his own desperate tears, the vintage notes of regret and poor life choices. But Yi Chen notices the man's tears and realizes with a smirk that the move he pulled worked perfectly, the satisfaction of a puzzle piece clicking into place. The vice president finds the tears odd and asks if he's okay, her tone the polite concern you, use for a stranger with food in their teeth. But the man makes up an excuse that the strong drink went down the wrong way, the oldest lie in the book, right after I'm fine. At that, our hero crosses his arms and asks point blank why he doesn't just tell everyone that he lost the agency, his voice cutting through the awkward silence like a skip button. Furious at being exposed, Mackin yells that the headquarters took over and says it has nothing to do with the young man, deflecting like a pro at a corporate dodgeball game. Our protagonist doesn't even care about the accusations, and calmly says he won't waste time arguing because he knows the truth. His chill vibe the exact opposite of the chaotic energy in the room. Makan is sweating bullets, but the guests doubt that a useless live-in son-in-law would have the power to take down an entire agency, their logic following the usual weak-looking guy is weak trope. However, Kun Hong Yin becomes thoughtful, staring at the young man suspiciously and wondering if he could actually be someone powerful, his detective mode activating like in every mystery manhwa ever. Right after, Gio steps forward to calm things down, assuring everyone that her ex-husband is just a country bumpkin with no influence, the tell in her voice as clear as a tutorial pop-up. She continues to humiliate the young man, saying that if he knew important people, he would never have allowed himself to be treated like a dog, a line so cliché it should come with its own background music. The matriarch agrees, laughing at the situation as she believes young masters are too spoiled to endure so much hardship. Her chuckle the sound of a VIP reader who thinks she knows the whole plot. Trying to save face, Makan shows off a super expensive bottle of wine, but is interrupted by the waiters calling everyone to eat, his big moment ruined by the universal signal for "shut up, food s here." Watching that scene, our hero realizes how materialistic the family is and understands perfectly why he was betrayed, the revelation hitting him with the subtlety of a chapter title card. At that moment, the head chef announces that the banquet is about to begin and asks everyone to proceed to the main hall. As they walk, Gia whispers for him to wait until after dinner to make the divorce official so as not to ruin the party, her priorities as clear as a menu. With little choice, the protagonist sits alone at a table in the back, deciding to wait until everyone has finished eating, the classic protagonist in the corner shot. Suddenly, a female guest next to him makes a scene just because her spoon touched his, acting as if he were trash, her drama level set to extra. Chen ignores the drama and notices the dish being served is pepia soup, famous for helping with the growth of certain assets. With an appraising look, he comments that she probably doesn't need to have any, leaving the woman furious and confused. The woman stands up indignantly, but the young man just glances at her generous assets, indicating she's already well-equipped, his deadpan delivery the final blow. In doubt, the woman changes her tune and tells him to just have the soup himself, pretending she said nothing, but thinks he's annoying for not even looking at her face. A moment later, she runs to her grandmother and complains that Chen shouldn't be allowed to eat there, claiming the useless son-in-law didn't even bring a birthday present and has no right to be at the banquet. The woman continues to be a pain, stating that the family needs to have some integrity and they'll only process the divorce after the meal, but insists on pointing out that it's the 18th birthday and the guy showed up empty-handed, her nagging a constant buff effect. Our protagonist listens to it all in silence, reflecting that if it weren't for the matriarch's insistence on forbidding the divorce for 3 years, his mission would have failed long ago. So he's actually grateful for that absurd rule, the ultimate task failed successfully moment. Since today is the day he officially leaves the family, Yin decides he should give something in return and takes out his phone, calling a subordinate to prepare a gift and have it delivered to the hotel immediately, the casual power move of a hidden op character. Seeing him on the phone, Jia Yao scoffs, asking if he found his conscience in the trash, and arrogantly warns him that the Wang family won't accept whatever cheap junk he has delivered in front of everyone. His wife continues to humiliate him, telling him to stop embarrassing himself since he's just a freeloader, and even offers to send someone to buy something decent for him, to pretend he gave to the grandmother just to save face, the offer as backhanded as a compliment from a rival. However, our hero keeps eating calmly, ignoring her yelling, which makes the woman furious, shouting and asking if he's gone deaf, her voice hitting that high-pitched note of pure frustration. But the young man doesn't even bother to look up from his plate, his focus legendary. 10 minutes pass and a simple delivery man in a yellow helmet rushes into the hotel's luxurious lobby. A staff member stops the man at the entrance, saying it's a private party and outsiders aren't allowed. But the guy humbly explains he's just there to deliver a birthday present and then he'll leave, his politeness a bright light in a sea of arrogance. Faced with the situation, the delivery man looks around a bit lost and politely asks who is celebrating their birthday today so he can deliver the package to the right person. Wang Xiaoyi stands up thinking it's food, his brain permanently in snack mode. The man explains that he met a Rolls-Royce owner on the road who gave him $500 just to bring that package to the hotel as fast as possible, a side quest with a great reward. Hearing the words Rolls-Royce, the arrogant cousin immediately assumes the gift is from some big shot for his grandmother, and with a greedy smile extends his hand, telling the delivery man to hand over the package immediately, his eyes turning into dollar signs. Curiosity fills the hall to see what's inside the mysterious box brought on the orders of a millionaire, the suspense building like a loot box animation. And Wang Xiaoyi carefully opens it, expecting to see something impressive. When the lid opens, a green light shines brightly, and he breaks into a cold sweat, completely shocked to realize it's an extremely exquisite and valuable piece of ice jade worth a real fortune. The classic legendary item get visual effect. Wang Xiao's jaw drops as he examines the jewel, and he shouts for everyone to hear that the jade is perfectly clear and worth at least 10 million, his voice doing the numbers going up squeal. At this, the guests begin to whisper, unable to believe that a simple delivery man brought something so valuable, and wonder who the tycoon behind it is, the gossip spreading like a system notification. While the commotion takes over the hall, our protagonist continues to eat calmly as if all the fuss has nothing to do with him, the picture of "I'm just here for the daily rewards." From there, everyone becomes mesmerized by the bracelet's beauty and asks matriarch Wang, who the generous soul was that sent the gift. However, the old woman stares at the piece, confused, and admits she has no idea who sent it, as she doesn't know anyone that rich and mysterious, her pride struggling with the unknown variable. Qin Hongyan is also impressed by the supreme quality of the jade and starts trying to guess who the sender of such a fortune might be, his mind running through the list of possible hidden bosses. A moment later, vanity gets the best of the vice president, and she starts to imagine that perhaps one of her wealthy suitors sent it. The woman deludes herself into thinking her irresistible beauty made some young master spend millions just to try and win her heart that night, her fantasy a full-color splash page. On the other hand, Wang Jukong starts bragging, saying it was definitely a secret admirer in love with his daughter who sent the package, the family's ability to spin narratives truly S-rank. Based on this assumption, they begin to congratulate each other, convinced that a generous billionaire son-in-law is about to join the family, the celebration premature and deeply ironic. Our hero finds the whole pathetic scene amusing, thinking that they'd rather invent any absurd lie than admit that he was the one who bought the jewel, the plot armor of their denial impenetrable. He then wipes his mouth, stands up from the table, and asks his wife if she's done eating so they can get out of there. With that, Ye Chen announces that he has delivered the promised gift and now demands they go straight to the registry office to finalize the divorce immediately, dropping the truth bomb like a special episode cliffhanger. Zhao's eyes go wide with confusion, and she questions when he ever delivered a gift since she didn't see him lift a finger all night, her perception check failing critically. So the protagonist points a finger right at her grandmother and reveals in front of everyone that the $10 million bracelet is his gift. The reveal so clean it should have a mic drop sound effect. Xiaowi points a finger back in our protagonist's face, shouting that he's shameless and would never have the money to buy a jewel like that, not even in 1,000 years, his denial strong enough to power a small city. The cousin continues the drama, telling Jie Yao not to let her husband embarrass himself, claiming it was definitely a rich suitor who sent the gift, clinging to the delusion like a lifeline. With that, the wife hastily pulls the young man along, saying they need to rush to the registry office because she can't stand being married to a loser for one more second, her urgency that of someone trying to close a pop-up ad. Before leaving, Ye Chen looks at the old woman and says seriously that for their 3 years together, the bracelet is his farewell gift to the family. The gesture somehow both incredibly baller and a final screw you wrapped in jade. Guy ignores the noble gesture and yells for him to stop bragging and just get lost, reinforcing that he's nothing but a walking embarrassment to the Wang clan, her words bouncing off his newfound serenity. Just then, Wang Xiaowi appears with a menacing look, telling his ex-in-law to get on a train and disappear from Yanzhou as soon as he signs the divorce papers, playing the classic, leave the city trope completely straight. But our hero isn't fazed by the threat and coldly replies that his freedom is his own, and no one has the right to decide where he should or shouldn't live, the line dripping with main character energy. A moment later, he's waiting on the sidewalk for a ride when a luxury car flies by and screeches to a halt in front of him for one last taunt. Inside the vehicle, Fang Chaya smirks maliciously next to the woman, saying the young man isn't worthy of sitting in a BMW and should take a rental bike instead, the insult so petty it's almost admirable. The lover lets out another laugh, telling him they'll be waiting at the entrance of the government building, leaving our protagonist behind on the curb, the classic, we have the faster mount flex. Faced with this humiliating situation, Ye Chen just hails a regular taxi and asks the driver to take him straight to the civil affairs office to get it over with. His patience a stat he's maxed out. Once they arrive, they immediately enter the mediation room where the atmosphere is cold and bureaucratic, marking the definitive end of that arranged marriage. The setting is cheerful as a game over screen. The process is quick, and in just a few minutes, the staff hands over the red certificates, sealing the divorce and severing the ties between them, the sound effect in his head being a quest-completed ding. Holding the document, the young man feels a weight lift from his shoulders and thinks with relief that after 3 years of suffering, he's finally no longer alive in son-in-law, the debuff icon finally fading. But on the way out, Feng Xiao shows up to mock him, saying he's now evolved from a useless son-in-law to an abandoned son-in-law, trying to assign him a new, equally lame class. While Ye Chen focuses on his next test, our protagonist doesn't even care about the taunts and just replies coldly that he wants nothing more to do with that woman, turning his back and walking away, already mentally in the next story arc. Zhao is furious at being ignored and continues to scream in the middle of the street, calling her ex-husband a useless abandoned son-in-law, her voice the shrill soundtrack to his freedom. As he gets into the taxi, the woman gets into the luxury car, still fuming, and orders Fang Zhao to follow the guy's vehicle to make sure he leaves the city, initiating a chase sequence no one asked for. The lover obeys with a smug grin on his face, certain that Ye Chen is heading straight for the train station to run away with his tail between his legs, the confidence of someone who hasn't read the genre tags. As they tail the taxi through the busy streets, they think that since they've blocked all his means of support, the young man has no choice but to leave, their plan seeming foolproof in a vacuum. But Jia Yao starts to get restless in the passenger seat, remembering her ex-husband's confident expression, and feels that something is very strange about this whole situation, her intuition finally pinging after 3 years of neglect. Suddenly, Fang Zhao furrows his brow in confusion, realizing that the route the taxi is taking leads neither to the train station nor the bus terminal. The ex-wife asks if it's the way to the airport, but the driver denies it, saying that this direction leads straight to the wealthy district of XH, the plot thickening. At this, the woman starts biting her nails anxiously, wondering if the guy actually plans to stay in Yanzhou even after everything, her anxiety meter filling up. Fang Zhao tries to calm her down, saying the poor guy is probably just looking for a cheap hotel, but assures her that with their influence, no one will rent a room to him, his villain logic airtight. 10 minutes later, the taxi stops in front of the luxurious Four Seasons Hotel at Westlake, leaving the pursuing couple completely baffled, their confusion as delicious as a victory cutscene. Seeing our protagonist walk up the entrance stairs, Fang Zhao scoffs, saying he definitely only went there to apply for a job as a waiter or janitor, his imagination limited to the NPC roles. Jia Yao is outraged by the guy's audacity, since they had already made it clear at the banquet that he was banned from getting any job in the city, the decree of a minor villain. Determined to humiliate the young man one more time, the lover picks up his phone and calls an acquaintance who works as a manager at the hotel to set a trap, the classic, "I know a guy" move. The man then orders the manager not to hire a guy named Ye Chen, who just walked in, thinking he's destroying our hero's life, his smile that of a job well done. However, the lover's expression changes drastically when he hears the manager's response, and he shouts in surprise, making Gio ask in fright what went wrong, the record scratch moment audible. The man hangs up the phone, confused, and explains that the employee checked everything, but confirmed that no one showed up looking for a job, which leaves them both wondering about the reason for his visit, the mystery box now in their laps. Faced with this mystery, Fang Chia's eyes widen, and he suggests the absurd possibility that our protagonist wasn't there to work, but to stay as a guest, the idea so revolutionary it breaks his brain. The ex-wife immediately laughs at the idea, saying it's impossible because a single night costs 8,000, and she confiscated all his cards, leaving him with just some pocket change, her math based on the stats she thinks she knows. Even so, the lover isn't satisfied and decides to go into the hotel to get to the bottom of it personally with his manager acquaintance. Arriving in the lobby, they receive the bombshell confirmation that Yachin did indeed check in and even paid in advance for a full 7-day stay. Hearing this, the villainous pair's jaws drop, calculating that this little stunt costs more than 50,000, and they can't believe the useless guy would have that kind of cash. Their worldviews crack. Right after, Fang Chayo accuses the guy of having skimmed money from grocery shopping and dog food for years, calling our hero a shameless thief, reaching for the lowest hanging fruit. However, the receptionist interrupts their outburst with a sheepish smile and informs them there's been a mistake because the guest didn't get a regular room, but the presidential suite, the correction delivered with the force of a critical hit. This revelation hits them like an atomic bomb, making them scream in unison, completely terrified by what they just heard, their HP dropping to 0. Sweat drips down Fang Zhao's forehead as he redoes the math, realizing the stunt actually cost over $500,000 since the luxury suite goes for 80,000 a night. Completely pale, he turns to Gio and asks if she's absolutely sure her ex-husband saved up $500,000 just by saving spare change from buying bread, because the math just doesn't add up, his voice a whisper of pure, unadulterated system error. Feng Xiao turns to the receptionist to confirm his doubt. "Are you sure Yi Chen just paid 560,000 in full right now?" The receptionist confirms the payment and then delivers the salt in the wound. "Yes, sir, and he also gave me a very generous 10,000 tip. My rent is paid this month thanks to your ex-brother-in-law." Yao's anger explodes. "How dare you keep that tip? That money all belongs to my Wan family, understand? That's ours by default." Feng Xiao tries to calm her down logically. Now is not the time to cry over a tip. The real question is, where did he get so much money? Even if he skimmed grocery money for 3 years, he could not save $1 million. This math ain't mathing. Yao thinks for a moment and then a light bulb goes off. Wait, He used to follow my grandmother's house to take care of her dog. She has many valuable antiques. Could it be he took one or two and sold them, like some kind of antique heist protagonist? Feng Xiao agrees. That must be it. Call your family and tell them to check if anything is missing. This is giving major red flag energy. Meanwhile, at the Wang Hotel banquet hall, President Tang and the other important guests still haven't left. Everyone is waiting to catch a glimpse of the mysterious person who sent that expensive bracelet. Qin Hongyan grows restless watching the door. She thinks to herself that even with traffic, the gift sender should have arrived by now. A disturbing thought crosses her mind. Could it be that Yi Chen really sent that bracelet? Now that would be too much plot twist. Yao's mother's phone rings. She answers and hears Yao's frantic voice on the other end. Mom, go to grandmother's house immediately. Check if any of her old calligraphy or paintings are missing. That wretch Yi Chen must have stolen our family's things and is spending the money from selling them. The mother loses her composure and blurts out loudly, that Yi Chen, that loser stole grandmother's antiques. Qin Hongyan overhears and takes a deep breath as if all her suspense has ended. She exhales cigarette smoke thinking she thought that guy was some big tycoon, but it turns out he's just a common thief. Talk about false advertising. Her interest completely evaporates. She stands and says she has important company work and must leave now. Old Madame Wan stands respectfully and mentions the financing matter is in President Qin's hands. Qin Hongyan tells her not to worry and leaves. As soon as she goes, the other guests understand the mysterious tycoon isn't coming, and they all begin to leave like NPCs ending a side quest. When the crowd disperses, old Madame Wan asks angrily what Yao said. She learns that Yi Chen booked a presidential suite at the Westlake Hotel for a week and spent nearly 600,000 there. They suspect he got the money by selling antiques. Old Madame Wan explodes and pounds the table, cursing that son-in-law. But she controls her anger, remembering the bracelet guest still hasn't arrived. She divides the family, sending some to check her house while she and others stay to wait longer. Multitasking queen. At the villa, Cao and Yao's parents begin searching. Cao suggests they split up, with the uncle checking the ancient calligraphy room while he checks another room. After 20 minutes of searching, they find nothing missing. Cao thinks, deeply calculating that nothing valuable was stolen from grandmother's house, which means Yi Chen didn't steal anything. His brain is doing math. Cao's hatred dominates him. He doesn't want to give Yi Chen a clean slate, so he lies and tells his uncle to check again. As soon as the uncle leaves, a horrible plan comes to Cao's mind. He goes to a shelf and picks up a very expensive watch worth over 5 million that his grandfather used to wear. A diabolical smile appears on his face as he thinks now Yi Chen will be the thief who stole this watch. He's about to speedrun framing someone. He hides the watch in his pocket and goes out with the empty box. Immediately, he starts shouting that a watch is missing from his room. Yao's mother reacts angrily, saying she knew it. Yao's father immediately calls old Madame Wan and nervously reports that grandfather's Richard Mille watch is missing. Old Madame Wan begins trembling with rage. She orders them to grab Yi Chen and bring him to her so she can cut off his hand. Grandmother unlocked Yandir mode. After hanging up, the father tells Cao they need to bring Yi Chen back. But Cao remembers the beating from last time and fears that man hitting him again. He fakes a wound and escapes, claiming he needs to go to the hospital. Bro really said, "I'm hurt," and ran. The father calls Yao and asks if she's still at the Westlake Hotel. At the hotel, Yao answers the call and her eyes widen. "What did you say? From grandmother's house, a Richard Mille watch is missing, worth 5 million. Okay, I understand." She hangs up and Feng Xiao asks what happened. Yao angrily says Yi Chen really stole grandmother's things. She turns to the receptionist and disrespectfully demands Yi Chen's room number. Feng Xiao gets scared and asks what she's going to do. Yao enthusiastically responds that she's going to bring him back for stealing her grandfather's 5 million watch. Feng Xiao notices she looks more excited than angry. He grabs her, afraid she might cause a scene at the hotel, and tells her to just call the police calmly instead of going up there. Yao calls him a coward and goes up alone. Girl is on her main quest. She arrives outside the presidential suite and pounds on the door, shouting for the damn thief to open up. After a while, the door opens, revealing Yi Chen, who has just showered with only a towel wrapped around him. He gets irritated and asks why she doesn't stop bothering him now that they're divorced. Seeing him in this state, with abs showing, Yao's anger cools and her face turns red. Yi Chen ignores her reaction and asks directly what she wants. Yao snaps out of it, and to hide her embarrassment, changes the subject, accusing him of stealing her grandmother's Richard Mille watch. Yi Chen is confused and asks which watch. Yao thinks he's acting and angrily says a 5 million watch is missing, and she knows he took it because otherwise where would he get the money for this presidential suite that she has never even stayed in? Yi Chen thinks to himself that the Wan family really is something else, taking credit for good things and blaming him for everything. Classic toxic guild behavior. He tells her he has never taken even a needle or thread from their family, so stealing a watch is far-fetched, and tells her to leave. When Yi Chen calls her Miss Wan, it's as if Yao gets an electric shock. He never called her that before. She remembers the old days when he affectionately called her my annoying wife and talked about taking her out to eat. This rejection and formality angers her, and she asks why he's in such a hurry to kick her out, asking if there's a woman inside. Yi Chen has had enough and tells her whether there's a woman inside is none of her concern, and if she doesn't leave now, he will call security. Yao's anger reaches its peak. She threatens to call the police and tells him he's looking at more than 15 years in prison for stealing 5 million. Yi Chen closes the door without paying attention to her threats. Yao keeps shouting outside, but the door is already locked. Inside, Yi Chen calmly dries his hair and laughs at himself in the mirror, thinking it was only because he loved her that she always made him kneel and beg for forgiveness. He wonders what it means to love someone when the person falls so low. Sad backstory music plays in his head. When old Madame Wan finds out Yao called the police, she gets furious. Yao's mother defends her daughter, saying Yi Chen wasn't cooperating, so she had to call the police, and since he's no longer family, handling him according to family justice wouldn't be right. Back at the hotel, the police arrive and ask Yao if she's Miss Wan Yao, and if she reported Yi Chen stealing her family's 5 million watch. Yao plays the victim, explaining Yi Chen was their live-in son-in-law and they just divorced. She claims he stole the watch, sold it, and used the money to stay in the presidential suite for a week, and even hired a prostitute. She urges the officers to arrest him quickly, speedrunning that false report. One officer orders the reception to call Yi Chen down. The frightened receptionist makes the call, but Yi Chen has already fallen fast asleep and doesn't answer. Yao's suspicion turns to certainty as she angrily thinks he's guilty, and that's why he won't talk to her. The two police officers look at each other and decide to go upstairs. They take the elevator up and ring the doorbell. When Yi Chen opens the door and sees the police, he is a little surprised, but remains completely calm. Main character energy activated. The officer in front, Captain Li, reveals his identity and gets straight to the point, asking if Yi Chen stole the 5 million watch. He scans Yi Chen and points out that he was formerly the live-in son-in-law of the Wan family and didn't have much money doing food delivery for the last 6 months. He mentions that at the time of divorce, Yi Chen didn't receive a single cent of family property, yet he's staying in a presidential suite that costs 80,000 a night, booked for a full week. He asks where the money came from if he didn't steal the watch. Detective mode on. Without any delay, Yi Chen turns around and brings out some papers. He hands them to Captain Li, explaining that this is the share transfer contract of Guaja Group and that he is now the largest shareholder and newly appointed CEO. He also hands over his shiny business card. Plot twist unlocked. As soon as they take the card, both police officers lose their composure. That's some pay-to-win item right there. The other officer whispers to the captain that this is too exaggerated and asks if it could be fake. Captain Li asks if his information can be found on SkyEye, which is a commercial investigation tool that maintains information on 200 million social entities across the country. Yi Chen responds that the founder of SkyEye, Dr. Yang Kao, is his second brother's college classmate. Since he hasn't officially joined the office yet and didn't want people to find him first, he asked Dr. Yang to hide his information. He offers to have them open it for a while and immediately calls Dr. Yang, speaking casually and asking him to open his profile for just 10 minutes. He tells the officers they can check now. Flex. Both officers immediately search for Guaja Group on their phones. When the result appears, their eyes fly wide open. On the screen, it clearly reads Yi Chen, CEO of Guaja Group. Achievement unlocked, shock. But Captain Li still isn't willing to accept defeat and suggests it could be the work of some hacker. Man is in denial. Yi Chen realizes they won't believe him like this. He says he didn't want to flaunt his wealth, but since they still don't believe him, fine. He takes out his phone, opens the banking app, and puts it in front of their faces, telling them to see for themselves. Ultimate move, bank account reveal. When the officers glance at the transaction details, they completely lose their composure. The 560,000 expense is on one side, but when their gaze falls on the available balance below, both are shocked because that amount is over 10 billion. In the midst of the silence, Yi Chen inwardly takes a deep breath, thinking it's good they signed a prenuptial property agreement when they got married, which is why the Wan family never checked how much property and assets he actually has in his name. Pro gamer move. He looks toward the police and explains that this is just one of his cards. He asks with respect if Yi Chen must be the young master of some very large and wealthy family, and why someone with his background would willingly become a live-in son-in-law of the Wan family. Lore inquiry. Yi Chen responds that it was just a family arrangement, and at that time he had no other choice. He asks the officers to keep his secret, especially from the Wan family, because he doesn't want any more involvement with them. stealth mode activated. Both police officers think to themselves that the tastes and thoughts of rich people really are very strange. After clarifying the matter, the police officers politely apologize for the inconvenience and leave. Yi Chen bids them farewell. 2 minutes later in the hotel lobby, Han Yao and Feng Xiao are waiting impatiently. When they see the police come down, they immediately approach them. Captain Li directly tells them that the gentleman has already clarified he did not take their family's watch and suggests they go back and search because maybe they forgot it somewhere else. Reality check incoming. Feng Xiao protests asking how that's possible and how they can believe him. Yao also argues that if he didn't steal their family's things, then where did he get so much money to stay in this 5-star hotel? She insists he's just a poor food delivery guy and nothing more. Copium overdose. Both police officers look at each other in surprise at the words poor delivery guy. In their minds, that figure of 10 billion is spinning around. They think to themselves that there is no poor person in this world who owns 10 billion. Internal screaming. Captain Li tells Yao firmly that until they have concrete evidence, they have no right to arrest Mr. Yi Chen. Before leaving, Captain Li stops and advises her to stop calling her ex-husband poor or useless. He reminds her that they were once husband and wife, and saying that kind of thing about the other party is very hurtful. The other police officer asks with some surprise if she was the one who divorced Mr. Yi Chen. Yao proudly confirms that she took the initiative for the divorce and says he's already regretting it now. Clown makeup applied. The police officer mentally gives her a sarcastic thumbs up, thinking that a husband who has billions in wealth, who has rejected the CEO of Guaja Group, the regret isn't his, it's hers. Thoughts and prayer. Yao hesitantly asks the police officer if there was any woman in his room. Captain Li responds that Mr. Yi Chen is alone in his room and there's no one else. A smile appears on Yao's face, and she says to herself that she knew it, he still loves her. Delulu is the Solulu. Feng Xiao stands there very confused, thinking about how the police went up and down and suddenly became so polite to Yi Chen. He wonders what happened up there. Brain, EXC not responding. Just as he's thinking this, Yao's phone rings. On the screen, the name Wan Sao lights up. She answers and hears her brother's voice asking if the police arrested him. Yao responds that the police said there's no evidence, so they can't arrest him. Sao is a little surprised and asks what kind of evidence they want. Yao explains that they need either proof of stealing the watch or a receipt from selling it. A diabolical smile appears on Sao's face as he looks at the 5 million watch in his hand. He thinks to himself that getting proof of stealing the watch is impossible because the watch is in his hand at this moment. But the next moment, his mind plays a new trick. He thinks he can create fake proof of selling the watch against Yi Chen. Villain monologue incoming. He tells Yao to leave this matter to him and says he'll find out who he sold the watch to and send him to jail. Barely does brother come out of Yao's mouth when Sao hangs up. Yao sinks into deep worry, asking herself that if brother Sao really sends Yi Chen to jail, then what will happen next? Old memories refresh before her eyes. She remembers that time when Yi Chen lovingly used to curl her hair and ask if the curl was good. She was still lost in these memories, her mind completely entangled in thoughts of Yi Chen. Flashback arc initiated. Feng Xiao, who has been staring at her intently from the side, sees the opportunity and approaches her. Brazenly, he puts his hand on Yao's shoulder and whispers, suggesting they stay at the Westlake tonight too. Pick up artist fail. This touch makes Yao boil with anger. She turns around furiously and gives Feng Xiao a strong slap on the cheek, shouting that he can't even handle a simple Yi Chen and has the audacity to dream of sleeping with her. Saying this, she leaves immediately. K-drama slap sound effect. Feng Xiao strokes his red cheek and grinds his teeth, thinking curses. He thinks to himself that she ruined all his fun for tonight, and when she comes out, he won't forgive her at all. His little lackey Xiao Zhang adds fuel to the fire from behind, saying that this girl is pretty hot anyway. Feng Xiao's anger reaches the 7th heaven. He grabs Xiao Zhang's neck and lifts him in the air, ordering him to stop the nonsense and to receive news immediately as soon as Yi Chen leaves the hotel. The frightened lackey nods. Boss fight loading. Time passes, and the next day at 6 in the morning, the hotel elevator door opens and out comes Yi Chen. But today Yi Chen is completely different from yesterday's delivery guy. He wears an expensive suit, and there is a different confidence in his walk. Seeing this new appearance, the girls standing at the reception are stunned and whisper among themselves in surprise. They comment that he looks exactly like a domineering CEO, and how different his temperament is from the simple guy yesterday. Another girl agrees, saying she loves him, and wonders which girl will be so lucky to become his wife. Main character glow up. Oblivious to these conversations, Yi Chen exits the hotel. Xiao Zhang sees him and immediately calls Feng Xiao, reporting that Yi Chen has come out. Yi Chen takes a taxi and leaves with Xiao Zhang following behind in his car, updating that he's heading toward the city center. Stalker side quest. After a trip of about 20 minutes, the taxi stops in front of a luxurious building. It's the Guaja Group building. Getting out of the taxi, Yi Chen looks at the skyscraper and says that yesterday Qin Hongyan took away his livelihood, but today let's see what her attitude will be when she sees him again. Revenge arc initiated. Feng Xiao is still lying in bed when he finds out Yi Chen went to the Guaja group. He's confused about what he went there for. He thinks about how President Qin said yesterday in front of everyone that she would ruin him completely. Could it be that Yi Chen went to take revenge on President Qin just thinking it makes him smile? He thinks this is a very good opportunity. If he saves President Qin, maybe he'll have some chance with that beautiful President Qin Hongyan. Simple logic activated. Without delay, he dials her number. On the other side, President Qin Hongyan is resting in her room. Seeing an unknown number, she answers and asks who it is. Feng Xiao speaks in a very polite voice, introducing himself and mentioning he made a toast to her yesterday at old Madame Wan's birthday party. Qin Hongyan is a little surprised and asks if everything is okay calling so early. Feng Xiao gets straight to the point and asks if she remembers that live-in son-in-law of the Wan family, Yi Chen. Yesterday, we supported the Wang family together and cut off his livelihood. That kid ran to your company building early this morning. I guess he wants revenge. Snitch move. President Qin replies calmly, "Don't worry. The building has access control and security. He can't get upstairs." Feng Xiao quickly adds, "The people I sent told me that kid has a guard in his hand and already passed the access control. He might be heading to your company floor right now. If you go up, your life might be in danger." Dramatic zoom. Hearing this, President Qin becomes suspicious. How could he have our company card? Plot twist incoming. That kid swiped the Wang family's patented tech, flipped it for 5 million and is now living the high life, while your entire company is just casually coughing up cash for a lousy access card. Doesn't that scream red flag? I'm genuinely worried sick about you, President Qin. A stunner like you. If that scumbag tries anything with a blade, the heartbreak alone would be a national tragedy. On the other end, President Qin replies with the cool precision of a CEO who's heard it all before. "Thank you for the heads up. I'll have security sweep the building immediately." Hearing this, Fang is practically drooling, his mind already a cesspool of filthy fantasies. "I'll rush right over to your company to help you personally, Sister Hung." Meanwhile, Qin is already on the line with her colleague. "Rome, get to the company now. Scope out anyone suspicious. If something's off, call the cops immediately." "Yes, President." Half an hour later, at Hasten Group, a girl glides through the entrance. The security guards trip over themselves to greet her. "Good morning," she offers a polite nod. That secretary Zio, Qin Hongyan's personal secretary, Jiao Rome, and she is absolutely breathtaking. As she strides toward the elevator, the guards can't stop blushing, their pervy little hearts practically on their sleeves. Upstairs, Rome suddenly bursts into the office. "Who are you? How did you get in here? What do you want?" The protagonist barely glances up. Dressed in a flawless suit, he radiates pure boss energy, calm, composed, dripping with aura. "Who are you?" he asks coolly. Rome adjusts her glasses with a flicker of pride. "I am President Qin's personal secretary, Zio Rome." Upon hearing this, Yi Chen gives her a long, curious look. Qin Hongyan is a woman, so why does she have a secretary like this? Isn't that usually a guy's preference? Is Qin Hongyan into women? Wow, the imagination on this guy. Rome slams her palms on the desk. "What are you smirking about? Answer me. What are you doing in our company?" The protagonist finally responds, dead serious. "I'm Yi, the new president of this group." The second Rome hears that, her panic mode activates instantly. "I'm so sorry, President Yi. I was way too rash. Of course, only you would have the key to this door. Please forgive me. President Qin just said a suspicious person was coming, so I..." Yi Chen barely acknowledges her, already focused on work. But internally, he's seething. It's the Wang family again. They're like a lingering ghost. "All right, you can leave." Rome nods softly, ready to bolt, when Yi adds casually, "Oh, and I heard President Qin is the #1 beautiful female president in Yao. When she gets here, tell her to come to my office immediately." Rome rushes to the restroom and dials Qin immediately. Across town, President Qin is flooring it toward Huison Group. "How is it? Any suspicious people at the company?" "Wrong, the suspicious person is President Yi. The new group president just walked in, and he specifically asked to see you." Qin is floored. "What? President Yi is already there." She slams the accelerator. "I need to get there now." 10 minutes later, in the CBD lobby. "Rome," Qin calls out. They lock step and head for the office. "Where is he?" "In the office. He wants to meet you immediately." As they walk, Qin notices female employees furiously touching up their makeup. Why is everyone so early today? The receptionist posted in the group chat, "The new CEO is here and he's super handsome." Everyone rushed over. Qin side-eyes her. "Oh, handsome." Rome's eyes literally sparkle. "More handsome than any celebrity. Super young, like 23 years old." Qin frowns. "So young. I became VP at 32 and that was rare. The president is 23. She turns to Rome. Tell everyone to act professional. Don't be love-struck. He's our president, he'll think we're amateurs. Rome's eyes gleam again. How could we possibly be worthy of a dominating CEO like him? Only you, President Chin, are his match. As they pass, employees whisper, President Yi specifically called you the #1 beautiful female president. Maybe he came here just for you. Don't be ridiculous, Chin says confidently. I've been in Yao's business circle for years. There's no man I can't handle. He's just a 23-year-old boy. Internally, she smirks. Nothing I can't resolve once I take action. Employees recall the time a billionaire tyrant was totally uncontrollable, until Chin stepped in for 2 minutes and turned him into a lapdog. Now, Chin is calmly applying lipstick. The employees nudge each other. Leave the door cracked. We want to see you tame the new president again. Make him kneel and tie your shoes. Chin finishes her touch-up and strides toward the office, radiating confidence. She has no idea the calm before the storm is over. A massive explosion is about to hit. She reaches the door. Come in. She opens it. A young man sits in a chair facing the window, his back to her. She hasn't seen his face yet. President Yi, I'm Vice President Chin Hongyan. Even from the side, his jawline is sculpted like a Korean drama star. Handsome, familiar, deja vu. He slowly turns around. Outside, employees are peeking. Will he get a nosebleed from her beauty? Maybe he'll kneel and call her queen immediately. But the moment Chin sees his face, shock, pure icy shock. It's Yi Chen asterisk. Her mind blanks, her knees buckle. She drops to the floor, kneeling, completely speechless, utterly stunned. Outside, the employees are frozen solid. Why did President Chin just kneel? Room is in shock too. The office door is wide open. Plot twist of the century. A female staff member wearing glasses peeking through a crack in the door, completely shocked as she wonders internally, how is this happening? It's not President Yi kneeling to President Chin. A close-up shows President Yi, a strikingly handsome man with dark blue hair, because every manhwa CEO needs that protagonist hair color, looking down with a serious expression. Suddenly, the heavy door is shoved open, exposing 3 female employees who had been eavesdropping, causing them to scream in terror like they just got caught sneaking snacks past their mom. Inside the luxurious office, the beautiful brunette, President Chin, is kneeling helplessly on the floor before President Yi, who calmly stands with his hands in his pockets and asks, President Chin, why are you kneeling to me the moment we meet? I really can't accept such a big gesture. He continues, if you can't accept it, then help me up already. Bro is enjoying this way too much. Internally, President Chin curses, damn Wang family. If not for them, I wouldn't have offended my boss. This is why we can't have nice things. While out loud, she apologizes profusely with her head bowed. I'm sorry, President Yi, I was wrong. Please forgive what I said yesterday. Kneeling down to meet her gaze, President Yi smirks slightly and says, Yesterday, oh, I remember now. Yesterday you said we were lovers, right? Suddenly, he pulls her into a tight, intimate embrace, causing her to let out a surprised gasp of AH as he holds her flush against him. As he notes internally that she smells so good and feels so soft. No wonder so many men are crazy about this woman. He teasingly asks her, I even heard I booked an island to ask you to be my girlfriend. Which island was that again? Man really said, let me gaslight you with your own lie. Flustered and feeling completely socially dead from embarrassment, she looks over his shoulder with a bright red face and stammers, I'm sorry, I was wrong. If the floor could open up and swallow her right now, she'd pay extra for express delivery. Letting go slightly, he looks at her gently and instructs, all right, get up first. As she stands up, looking away nervously like she just got caught peeking in the boys' locker room, he turns his back and orders, close the office curtains. If the staff see this, it won't look good, to which she obediently replies, yes. Girl is already down bad and she doesn't even know it yet. Now seated at his desk reviewing a document while she stands nearby holding her phone like an anxious intern, he remarks, President Chin, yesterday you said you wanted to cut off all my options in Yuncheng. Now I'm Huasheng Group's president, your boss. Looking up at her intensely with a piercing gaze that would make any shoujo manga FL faint, he challenges, I'd like to know, how are you going to block me now? Filled with regret, she explains, President Yi, I really never imagined someone of your status would go be the Wang family's live-in son-in-law. That's like finding out your local delivery driver is secretly a chaebol heir. Nobody saw this coming. I know my mistake can't be undone. However you decide to punish me, I'll accept it. Turning around to face the window, proudly showing off her curves, she offers herself up to his judgment, stating, if you want to slap me, I'll walk over and let you hit me. If you want to scold me, I'll stand here and listen. If you want to fire me, I'll pack my things and leave right away, and never appear before you again to upset you. She's really giving him the full, I accept my execution speech. Watching her, President Yi thinks to himself that this woman Chin Hongyan really isn't simple. She doesn't panic when something happens, she takes responsibility, doesn't make excuses, and doesn't shift the blame. She's basically a unicorn in the business world. He finally tells her, I'm not planning to fire you. which leaves her looking completely stunned like she just got hit by a truck made of plot twists. Resting his head on his hand in a relaxed posture, he explains, "Yesterday you were the only one who offered me a way out. If I really were just an ordinary live-in son-in-law, you would be my benefactor. You passed the vibe check when nobody else did." Moved to tears by his mercy, she smiles brightly and promises, "Thank you, President Yi. From now on I'll devote myself completely to serving you." Girl just unlocked a new faction and she's already farming loyalty points. Clasping his hands together firmly on the desk, he states, "You, I can forgive. But the others at the birthday banquet who tried to cut off my options, I won't spare a single one of them. It's arc time." Looking at him with deep devotion, she suggests, "President Chin, you can just call me Hongyan," to which he orders, "Hongyan, organize the information on everyone who tried to cut off my options yesterday and give it to me." As she turns to leave with a crisp yes, she thinks excitedly that President Yi is making his move and the Yuncheng business circle is about to be shaken up. She's already grabbing popcorn for the show. Half an hour later, a resume for the obnoxious Fang Kao is placed on the desk as Hongyan announces, "President Yi, all the information you requested is here." Recalling a blonde woman's harsh words from earlier boasting about Fang Kao's 10 billion net worth and calling him trash, President Yi asks, "I heard the Fang family is a first-tier family in Yuncheng with assets close to 10 billion. Hongyan quickly clarifies the truth. "They count as first-tier, I guess. 2 years ago they might have had 10 billion, but now they've shrunk badly. Their assets are probably only around 3 billion, not much better than the Wang family. Bro been coping hard with that 10 billion flex." She continues her report. "The Wangs recently had a project where they wanted us to finance 70 million, and they gave me a lot of benefits for it. I'll return every benefit they gave me and tell them to stop dreaming about working with Huisheng again." She also notes internally that Wang Jiaqi is blind, choosing useless Fang Kao over a whole hidden boss. Once she finds out who Yi Chen really is, she'll regret it so much her guts will turn green. The second-hand embarrassment is gonna be legendary. However, Yi Chen maintains his strict professionalism, stating, "Business is business. I won't exclude the Wang family from a deal because of my personal history with them. Bring me the proposal for that project. I'm not that kind of petty protagonist." When she eagerly offers, "Yes, I'll get it for you right away," he stops her with a warm look, saying, "No need, I'll go with you." At the exact same time down in the lobby, Fang Kao is standing around checking his phone, wondering to himself, "I wonder if President Chin has managed to catch that kid Yi Chen yet." Little does he know, the kid is currently running the whole building. A female staff member in a green jacket approaches him, recognizing him as young Master Fang. When he dismissively asks, "And you are?" she gets uncomfortably close, grabbing his arm and reminding him, "Young Master Fang, don't tell me you don't remember me. That really hurts. That night at Link's bar, you bought me drinks, then we went off together. You bullied me the whole night, remember?" Visibly disgusted, Fang Kao thinks to himself, "Damn, I must have really been drunk that night to take home someone this trashy. The 3M decisions really do hit different." But realizing she might be an asset, he puts on a fake smile and asks, "Oh, I remember now. You work at Huisheng." Wrapping an arm around her while thinking still this woman might be useful, he urgently tells her, "Honey, hurry and take me upstairs. Your President Chin is in danger." "Sir, you really think you're the main character, don't you?" 1 minute later, the elevator doors open and they overhear some female employees whispering excitedly in the hall, "Hey, listen to me." The moment she saw the president, she dropped to her knees. Can you believe it? She knelt in the first second. It was like watching a historical drama. Fang Kao immediately interrupts them, asking loudly, "Excuse me, where is President Chin now?" The bespectacled staff member tells him, "President Chin is in her office. Sir, do you have an appointment?" Ignoring her completely, Fang Kao aggressively shoves his arm past her, causing her to yell out, "Hey, what are you doing? Man really thinks he's in an action movie." He violently kicks the heavy office doors open with a massive bang. Bursting inside, he points an accusing finger and yells, Well, Yi Chen, you shameful, discarded son-in-law and thief. So you really are here." Bro came in with all the subtlety of a truck crashing through a wall. Hongyan, standing next to Yi Chen with a document in hand, looks at the intruder in shock and mutters, "Fang Kao." Misunderstanding the situation entirely, Fang Kao yells at Yi Chen, "Are you hiding here planning to get revenge on President Chin?" The confidence is truly impressive considering how wrong he is. An absolutely furious Hongyan glares daggers at him and demands, "Who let you in here?" Still trying to play the macho hero, Fang Kao confidently tells her, "Hongyan Jai, don't be afraid. I'll personally throw this piece of trash out for you so he's no eyesore." But before he can even blink, Hongyan delivers a vicious, echoing slap right across his cheek. With a completely flushed face and wide eyes burning with absolute rage, she screams at him, "Who's your Hongyan Jai? Call me President Chin." That slap was personal, professional, and satisfying all at once. Holding his violently slapped cheek, a bewildered Fang Kao stammers to Chin Hongyan, "Hongyan Jai, I mean, President Chin," because apparently his brain-to-mouth filter is permanently broken. Internally, he questions what is going on, realizing that Chin Hongyan and her staff don't seem surprised at all that Yi Chen is there, which should have been his first clue that he's missing something huge. Suddenly, a smug look of enlightenment crosses his face as he turns to Yi Chen and shouts, "I get it now. You're not here to get revenge on President Chin. You're here to be her bodyguard." Because in his world, that's the only logical explanation for a trash live-in son-in-law to be in a CEO's office. Yi Chen just stares at him, mentally exhausted by the idiot's rambling, wondering what kind of nonsense his brain is coming up with, probably questioning how someone this stupid even survived to adulthood. Completely convinced of his own delusion, Fang Kao connects the dots out loud. Just now they mentioned someone kneeling. It must have been Yi Chen kneeling to Chin Hongyan, and the reason he knelt was obviously to beg her forgiveness and ask to be her bodyguard, because in his mind, every interaction revolves around groveling. He mocks Yi Chen, stating that yesterday he thought he had some backbone for refusing the bodyguard offer, but today he woke up, dressed in a nice suit, and came crawling on his knees to beg to be her dog, which is both insulting and impressively wrong. Turning back to a seething Chin Hongyan, Fang Kao desperately urges, "President Chin, you can't agree to this. Yesterday at the banquet you said you were going to cut off all of Yi Chen's options, because he's committed to being wrong and loud about it." Eavesdropping at the door, the bespectacled staff member Rongrong breaks into a sweat, wondering if it's actually true that her boss said that, because office gossip is about to get wild. Unable to tolerate the idiot any longer, Chin Hongyan delivers a second brutal slap to Fang Kao's face, screaming, "Outrageous. When did I ever say that? Because some people just need to be silenced by force." She immediately barks orders at Rongrong to throw him out and never let him set foot in the company again, while also firing the employee who brought him upstairs, because consequences should be swift and painful. Escorted out by a stern security guard, a humiliated Fang Kao complains that as the young master of the Fang family, he's been publicly slapped twice, and in front of a live-in son-in-law of all people, because his priorities are clearly messed up. The guard simply tells him to leave because that's his job. Glaring back from the doorway, Fang Kao threatens Yi Chen, "Don't think that being Chin Hongyan's bodyguard means we can't touch you. Just wait. I'll make sure you can't eat, can't sleep anywhere but the street and end up in prison. Because when you've been slapped twice, you go all in on empty threats." Sitting in his car moments later, he grips the steering wheel, cursing that B*TCH Chin Hongyan for being nothing but a pretty face who slept her way to the top, because misogyny is his default setting when humiliated. He vows that once he completely wins Wang Jiaqi over, he will make Yi Chen kneel and beg, screaming, "I'll destroy you," because he's watched too many villain movies. Starting up the car with a wicked smirk, he plots to quickly tell the Wang family that the trash Yi Chen is now Chin Hongyan's bodyguard, because spreading misinformation is his only remaining skill. 1 hour later at the luxurious Zishan villa, old Madame Wang is completely shocked, asking, "What did you say? That discarded son-in-law Yi Chen became Chin Hongyan's bodyguard," because that's the last thing she expected to hear. Fang Kao smugly confirms he saw it with his own eyes and that Yi Chen was even fetching files for her, because he's committed to his delusion. Hearing this, Yi Chen's beautiful but arrogant ex-wife, Wang Jiaqi, looks completely stunned while her short-haired sister demands to know how that's possible and what makes him worthy, because in their minds, Yi Chen is worthless. Fang Kao stirs the pot further, claiming he heard from Huisheng's staff that Yi Chen dropped to his knees right away to beg for forgiveness, and that Chin Hongyan, who had her eye on him since yesterday, probably had a soft moment and agreed, because he's a master of making things up. Wang Jiaqi's face contorts into pure, unadulterated rage as she clenches her fists, screaming internally, "That bastard Yi Chen, he actually knelt for another woman," because her ego can't handle that. She stews in her bitter jealousy, recalling how she gave him so many chances to kneel and apologize, thinking she could have forgiven him, not divorced him, or not called the police if he had just begged, because she's rewriting history in her head. A dramatic close-up emphasizes her fury. "In 3 years of marriage, he never once knelt for me, and now he turns around and kneels in front of another woman," because apparently kneeling is the ultimate measure of love in her world. Her sister rubs salt in the wound, mocking her by saying she just wasn't charming enough, because siblings are the best at being cruel. Laughing along with their father, the sister boasts that if Yi Chen were her husband, she'd have made him kneel from the very first day and wash her feet every single day, because she's delusional about her own appeal. Gritting her teeth, Wang Jiaqi complains she was far too good to him these past 3 years, wishing for one more chance to make him kneel from morning to night, because she's obsessed with the idea of domination. She desperately begs her grandmother to cut all ties with Chin Hongyan for going back on her word, and to make her pay, because revenge fantasies are all she has left. Grandma Wang furiously slams her hand down, reprimanding her for talking nonsense, reminding everyone that their family's 70 million financing deal is still in Chin Hongyan's hands, making it impossible to treat her as an enemy, because business always trumps family drama. Her father smoothly chimes in, telling Jiaqi that while he knows she's jealous, she can't deny that President Chin is genuinely more capable than her, because sometimes the truth hurts. Throwing a massive, tearful tantrum, Jayaki screams that she doesn't care and threatens to go to the Huisheng group herself, prompting her grandmother to furiously order her to stay put, because that's not how you handle business. Grandma Wang then commands her son to call Qin Hongyan so she can speak with her directly, because when matriarchs want answers, they get them. With the glowing phone in hand, Grandma Wang puts on a stern face and confronts Qin Hongyan, stating she heard their live-in son-in-law became her bodyguard and sarcastically remarking that if she knew she had her eye on him, she would have handed him over half a year ago, because in her mind, people are assets to be traded. She demands an explanation for why Qin Hongyan went back on her promise to cut off his options, because promises are supposed to mean something. Back in her office, a slightly nervous Qin Hongyan replies that things aren't what she imagines, but apologizes for not being able to follow through on her promise, because she's caught between a rock and a hard place. Internally, she sweats, knowing that if the old madam found out this live-in son-in-law was actually the Supreme President Yi, she'd probably have a heart attack because that's information that could kill. Suddenly changing her tune, Grandma Wang smiles warmly, telling her they are on the same side and she can just keep the kid as a gift from the Wang family. A comment that causes Jayaki to absolutely lose her mind in the background, screaming that you can't just gift a person, because that's not how things work. Grandma Wang says she'll let the Yi Chen matter go, but presses on the 70 million deal, because money is what really matters. Regaining her absolute composure, Qin Hongyan confidently sips her tea and reveals she already discussed the project with President Yi, who finds it very interesting but wants to learn more, because she's a master of deflection. Delighted that the mysterious President Yi read their proposal, Grandma eagerly offers to send Jikyang to discuss it face-to-face, to which Hongyan agrees to arrange a time, because that's how deals get made. Handing the phone back, Grandma sternly warns Jikyang not to mess up this crucial impression with President Yi, because this is their big chance. Jikyang promises to satisfy him, but sinisterly asks if they are just going to drop Yi Chen's theft now that he's President Qin's man, because he's not ready to let go of that grudge. Grandma's face darkens as she orders him to keep digging for evidence, planning to use it to punish him or trade as a favor, because she's always thinking 2 steps ahead. Jikyang grins evilly, revealing he already found out Yi Chen sold the stolen watch to a gang thug, because of course he did. Smirking, Grandma tells him to get the evidence, declaring Yi Chen is just a dog and Qin Hongyan won't protect him, because she underestimates everyone. She then mercilessly insults the rest of the family for being useless, specifically targeting a trembling Jayaki, telling her she couldn't even hold onto a husband, and that her pretty face is a total waste, because Grandma doesn't pull punches. Unable to take the humiliation, the red-haired woman runs off crying, ignoring calls to stop, because sometimes you just have to leave. She hops into her black Audi and speeds down a winding road, furious that Yi Chen made her lose face and vowing to teach him a proper lesson, because blaming others is easier than self-reflection. Her tires screech to a halt in the dimly lit Huisheng Group underground parking lot, because dramatic entrances require screeching tires. Sitting in the driver's seat, her eyes widen in shock as she spots 2 familiar figures walking together, because the universe loves irony. The chapter ends on a tense shot of a handsome, serious Yi Chen walking side by side with a stunning Qin Hongyan, because sometimes the best revenge is just living well and looking good while doing it. Yi Chen looking strikingly handsome in a tailored navy suit walking alongside the stunningly beautiful brunette Qin Hongyan. The two are laughing and chatting intimately, completely oblivious to the storm of jealousy about to hit them. Watching them from a distance is Yi Chen's ex-wife Wang Jialin, whose bright orange hair frames a face twisted with absolute jealousy as she thinks to herself, "That bastard. After our divorce, he suddenly decides to dress like a male model." As Yi Chen and Hongyan walk through the dimly lit underground parking garage, an enraged Jialin suddenly steps in their path. Pointing an accusing finger at him, she screams, "Yi Chen, have you no shame? You actually went and became Qin Hongyan's lackey." A look of pure surprise crosses Yi Chen's face as he stops and mutters, "Wang Jialin," while Hongyan narrows her eyes, wondering internally, what does that stuck-up princess from the Wang family want now? Refusing to hold back, Jialin aggressively confronts them, her face flushed with anger as she shouts, "Yi Chen, I heard you got down on your knees and begged Qin Hongyan to take you back. Since you're so willing to toss your dignity aside, why didn't you ever get on your knees and beg me to forgive you back then?" Desperately trying to justify her past actions, she continues, "I handed you chance after chance. If you had just dropped to your knees and pleaded with me, you'd still be part of our Wang family right now." Yi Chen's expression hardens into an icy glare as he responds calmly but firmly, "You've got some nerve asking why I never knelt for you. Don't you think you're pushing it a bit too far?" Unloading his pent-up frustration, Yi Chen leans forward and shoots back, "You snuck off to a hotel with that scumbag Fang a couple days ago and slept with him behind my back. And you honestly believed I would get on my knees and beg you two for mercy." Jialin waves her hands dismissively, stubbornly trying to maintain the moral high ground as she argues, "What about after that? At the birthday party yesterday, I offered you another opportunity to kneel and apologize. If you had just bent the knee, I would have convinced Grandma to call off the divorce and you could have remained my husband. Refusing to back down, Jilin points a trembling finger at Hongyin and screams, and at Zizi Lake Hotel, if you'd knelt down and pleaded with me, I wouldn't have phoned the cops. It's the exact same action. Why are you willing to do it for her but not for me? I was your lawfully wedded wife. Is getting on your knees for your wife such a humiliating thing? Yi Chen stares at her with deep disappointment, the air around him practically freezing as he states, getting on my knees for my wife isn't humiliating. Doing it for a woman who cheated on me is. I was way too good to you these past 3 years. Completely unhinged by his logic, Jilin leans forward aggressively, her face red with fury as she yells, I knew it. My mistake was being too soft on you. That's exactly why you're so impossible to control now. The whole family blames me for not keeping you in line. With a live-in husband like you, I should have made you kneel and scrub my feet from day one. Before Yi Chen can even process her audacity, Qin Hongyan fiercely steps in and delivers a resounding slap straight across Jilin's cheek, leaving a bright red mark as Jilin cries out, AH. Towering over the shocked Jilin, Hongyan angrily reprimands her, declaring, you were the one who stepped out first and never once looked inward at your own behavior, and you still have the gall to speak like that. As a woman, where's your sense of decency? Holding her stinging cheek with tears welling in her eyes, Jilin whimpers, how dare you strike me? To which Hongyan glares back furiously, shouting, if I feel like hitting you, I'll hit you. Do I need to wait for a national holiday or something? Feeling completely humiliated, Jilin looks past Hongyan to Yi Chen with tear-filled eyes, crying out, you took my man away from me and now you're hitting me too. However, Yi Chen simply looks away, completely indifferent to her tears, and gently pats Hongyan on the shoulder to calm her down, quietly saying, let it go. Looking back at his pathetic ex-wife, Yi Chen coldly finalizes their detachment, telling her, leave. I'm no longer your husband, and I never will be again. This rejection pushes Jilin over the edge, and she screams defiantly, even if you were just a mutt my family fed for 3 years, if I decide I don't want you anymore, that doesn't mean I'm okay with just handing you over to somebody else. Yi Chen, I'm ordering you to get out of Husheng Group right this second. You are not allowed to work as Qin Hongyan's personal guard. Attempting to buy him out, she confidently offers, Qin Hongyan is paying you 200,000 a year, right? I'll give you 500,000. Hearing this pathetic offer, Hongyan bursts into mischievous laughter while Yi Chen awkwardly coughs into his fist. Smirking down at Jilin, Hongyan mocks her, ha, you honestly think 500,000 is enough to steal you away from me? Even if you tack on another zero, you still wouldn't come close. The realization hits Jilin like a truck, and she thinks in utter shock, wait, his bodyguard's salary isn't 200,000. It's 5 million. Has Qin Hongyan completely lost her mind? As Hongyan turns away and says, let's head out, a desperate Jilin lunges forward and grabs Yi Chen's arm, pleading, Yi Chen, hold on. Listen to me, you have to quit Huisheng Group today. Wang Xiaoji has already dug up proof that you sold that watch. Once he turns it over to the authorities, you're looking at prison time. Trying to use this as leverage, she desperately proposes, if you do what I say, ditch Qin Hongyan, come back to the Wang family and work as my personal bodyguard. I can make Wang Xiaoji back off and drop the whole thing. Yi Chen effortlessly pulls his arm from her grasp and looks back over his shoulder, calmly rejecting her by saying, I appreciate the offer, but I really can't take a job as your personal bodyguard. Opening his car door to leave, he delivers a final, brutal verbal strike. I can't guarantee your safety while I'm busy watching you sneak off to hotel rooms with other men. As Jilin gasps an offended, why you? Yi Chen settles into the driver's seat of the luxurious Porsche and boldly states, if Wang Xiaoji actually has evidence, he's welcome to take me to court however he sees fit. Unable to accept defeat, Jilin chases after the moving car, screaming into the exhaust fumes, Yi Chen, you don't have my permission to leave. Left entirely alone in the empty garage, a tear rolls down her face as she sulks in utter jealousy, thinking, Yi Chen is such a jerk too. He fully knows Qin Hongyan already has a boyfriend, yet he's still okay with being her side piece. This is infuriating. What does Qin Hongyan have that I don't? Seriously. The scene shifts dramatically to an establishing shot of the sun setting over Yuncheng, 7th Street, a notoriously rundown and chaotic slum area. The narrator explains that 7th Street is a famous slum where the poor live, and so do powerful figures. In Yuncheng, everyone in the underworld respects a man named Brother Melon, whose reputation dictates that, whether Yuncheng is chaotic or not, Brother Melon decides. If Brother Melon is carrying a bag, it's either a head or a knife inside. Inside a dimly lit, gritty room, the bruised and bandaged Wang Xiaoji nervously approaches the heavily tattooed boss with red braided hair, greeting him, Brother Melon. Taking a casual drag from his cigarette on a beat-up leather couch, Brother Melon smirks and replies, Young Master Wang, what an honor. Apologies for not coming out to welcome you personally. Getting straight to business, Xiaoji presents a sleek black box explaining, I've come because I'd like to propose a transaction, Brother Melon. This is a Richard Mille timepiece valued at over 5 million. I'm willing to let it go at a discounted rate of 4.5 million. He opens the box to reveal the dazzling diamond-encrusted watch, adding his sinister condition. However, I need you to tell anyone who asks that a man named Yi Chen sold it to you. Brother Melon leans in with a knowing grin, asking, that fellow who left those bruises all over your face, that was this Yi Chen character, am I right? Flushing bright red from embarrassment and anger, Shaeji clenches his fists and admits, you've hit the nail on the head, Brother Melon. He used to be the live-in son-in-law married into my second uncle's household. To protect the family reputation, my relatives don't want to make a big public spectacle out of this. But I refuse to let this slide. I need to see him behind bars. Exhaling a cloud of smoke, Brother Melon tilts his head back lazily and rejects the offer, stating, I can't get involved with that. Boss Liu gave us strict orders never to interfere in domestic disputes between families. You help someone out today, tomorrow they patch things up with their relatives, and suddenly we're the only bad guys left holding the bag. Furious, Shaeji frantically argues, that's not going to happen. Yi Chen has already been kicked out of our Wang family. Who exactly is this Boss Liu you keep mentioning? Why does his opinion carry so much weight with you? Instantly, one of Melon's green-haired lackeys steps forward aggressively, yelling, watch your tongue. Boss Liu is the man our Brother Melon answers to. Returning to his calm demeanor, Brother Melon explains, Boss Liu showed me the way in this life. Without his guidance, there wouldn't be any Brother Melon sitting here today. So his instructions might as well be carved in stone as far as I'm concerned. You'd be better off taking your business elsewhere. Desperation completely taking over, Shaeji grits his teeth and shoves the watch box forward, shouting, Brother Melon, I'll let you have it for 4 million even. Standing up to leave, Brother Melon remains unfazed, reminding him, I already explained this to you, Boss Liu treats me like flesh and blood and I follow his rules without question. Sweating profusely, Shaeji practically begs, offering an absurdly low price. 3 million. I'll sell you this watch for 3 million. You could turn around and flip it for a clean 2 million profit. This finally catches Brother Melon's attention. He freezes, his muscular tattooed arm halting with a firm hold on. Slowly turning his head back, his eyes glow an intense, greedy red as he declares with a sinister grin, Boss Liu also taught me another lesson. In our line of work, you never turn your back on money. The sky can fall, the earth can crack, but turning a profit is what truly matters. Young Master Wang, you've got yourself a deal. Yi Chen speeding down a bright highway in his black Porsche. Sitting beside a quiet Qin Hongyan, Yi Chen stares straight ahead with a deadly serious expression, firmly ordering her. From this point forward, you are not to lay a single finger on Wang Jialin unless I explicitly give you permission. Inside the luxurious black Porsche as Yi Chen calmly steers the wheel, illuminated by the warm light of the setting sun. His expression is serious as he states, hate is just the other side of love. Hating her is the same as loving her. What's the difference? Sitting beside him, Qin Hongyan looks on in stunned silence, her beautiful face glowing in the golden hour light as she thinks. In a close-up of Yi Chen's handsome profile, Hongyan continues to admire him internally, as expected of a young master from a great family. His perspective and way of thinking are not to be underestimated. She marvels at his qualities, thinking, handsome, wealthy, with a mindset this free and unbothered, and so generous and caring toward women. Leaning her cheek on her hand, a confident smile spreads across her face as she plots her own desires. Since Wang Jialin doesn't treasure him, I'll be the one to claim this man for myself. The scene shifts to a breathtaking view of Jinj Temple, a majestic multi-story golden pagoda surrounded by autumn trees and a tranquil reflection pond. Yi Chen and Hongyan stand by the water's edge, taking in the magnificent scenery. Yi Chen explains, this is where the Wang family plans to build the first-class private residence project. The first-class private residence is the project the Wang family wants Huisheng Group to finance. The idea is to build a luxury residence exclusively designed for top-tier families. Looking around, Hongyan points out, this is the spot. This area has the most gardens in Yuncheng, plus a whole maple forest with red autumn leaves. You can even have a picnic in the maple forest if you live here, and it has Yuncheng's only natural hot spring. Crossing her arms, Hongyan turns to Yi Chen with concern, asking, the location really is excellent, but President Yi, do you actually plan to give them the money? The Wang family treated you so badly. Yi Chen turns to face her, revealing a surprising truth. Actually, this project was originally my idea. Shocked, Hongyan gasps, what? Are you saying the Wang family stole your concept? Looking out at the scenery, Yi Chen calmly explains, I wouldn't put it that way. I could see that the Wang family had always been trying to climb into Yuncheng's top tier. But after Wang Jiao's grandfather passed away, both Wang Zhiqiang and Wang Zhiyuan were mediocre. They've been fighting over the scraps of the family inheritance ever since. He continues, so I came up with this project for them, a way to gain control over top-tier families without directly building up their own power. And that was to design an exclusive private residence specifically for them. Turning his gaze back to Hongyan, Yi Chen explains the betrayal. I shared the idea with Wang Jiao. She told old Madam Wang. Old Madam Wang approved it, but then handed the project over to Wang Zhiqiang. Hongyan looks down sympathetically, understanding the family dynamics. The Wang family definitely favors Wang Zhiqiang's side more. When you get down to it, it's just the old preference for sons over daughters. They feel Wang Jilin isn't qualified to inherit the family business. Offering her sympathy, she adds, "Honestly, I do feel some sympathy for Wang Jilin on that point." Yi Chen agrees, looking thoughtful. That's true. Wang Jilin has always been looked down on by the family. Her parents have always pressured her. And on top of all that, the family arranged for me to marry into her home. A rustling sound is heard as a red autumn leaf falls gently through the air. Even so, that's still no excuse for her to cheat. The leaf lands softly on Hongyan's dark hair. Gently, Yi Chen plucks the autumn leaf from her hair, gazing into her eyes with a captivating look as he softly requests, "Hongyan, have a drink with me." The scene transitions to a bustling street lined with bars and restaurants as a voice cries out, "I want a drink." Inside a vibrant, neon-lit bar, a distressed Wang Jilin, still in her floral dress, sits at the counter next to a woman in a daring, backless red dress with short black and red hair. The woman in red, identified as Song Hongai, turns to Jilin with a concerned expression, asking, "Jilin, what's gotten into you today? Drinking in the middle of the day. Who upset you? Tell me and I'll go teach them a lesson." Gripping her wine glass tightly, a flushed and furious Jilin complains, "It's that vile Chin Hongyan. She actually slapped me. I didn't even do anything to her. I was just scolding my useless ex-husband." "What right did she have to hit me?" Bursting into tears and throwing a tantrum, she wails. "What exactly is she to that wasty Chen?" Wah, Hong, looking unamused by the outburst, casually sips her cocktail and logically explains, "Even when you beat a dog, you have to check who its owner is. Your ex-husband is now Chin Hongyan's dog. Of course she won't just sit back and let you insult him." Jilin continues to justify herself, taking a long drink as she mutters, "I only cheated once." These days, which pretty woman hasn't cheated at least once? Hearing this, Hongai practically does a spit take with her red drink, coughing out PFFFT. Slamming her fist on the table, Hongai reprimands Jilin, "Hongai, you've done it twice." Jilin looks defensive, arguing back, "Why are you bringing me into this? At least my husband never caught me in the act." Desperately trying to shift the blame, she adds, "He was alive in son-in-law. Even if he found out, why couldn't he just put up with it?" Holding her glass delicately, Jilin sighs with confusion and frustration. "Hongai, you know what? I asked him to kneel to me and he refused. But then he turned around and went to kneel and apologize to Chin Hongyan, even willingly becoming her bodyguard. Why do you think that is? I could pay him too." Hongai analyzes the situation, her expression serious as she explains, "From what I know of Yi Chen, he loved you deeply these 3 years. He's not the type to just fall for someone else so easily." Jilin looks up, a glimmer of hope in her eyes as she asks, "Huh," Hongai confidently concludes, "The reason he refused you and went to work for Chin Hongyan is to make you respect him. If he lives off your money, he'll always feel like a freeloader. But money earned from someone else lets him stand tall in front of you. Yi Chen wants to make something of himself out there, to become worthy of you and then propose to you." Completely buying into this delusional narrative, Jilin's face lights up with a blush as she exclaims, "That's it, it must be." A smug, satisfied smirk crosses her lips as she proudly proclaims, "I knew this fool still loves me." Sitting up straighter with renewed arrogance, she adds, "Didn't you say you wanted someone who matches your family's status? You could always marry Fang Kao first." Hongai playfully suggests, to which Jilin quickly dismisses the idea, but Fang Kao is too unfaithful and doesn't take care of people the way Yi Chen does. Hongai casually offers a backup plan. If it doesn't work out, just divorce him again and let Yi Chen take you back. An honest man like him would definitely be willing. Tipsy and arrogant, Jilin giggles, "You're so wicked. But Yi Chen made me unhappy, so he deserves it." Taking another sip of her drink, Hongai suddenly asks a crucial question. "By the way, hasn't Yi Chen always been a stay-at-home husband? How come he suddenly started doing food delivery these past 6 months? Jilin slumps over the counter, drunkenly recalling, "I think it was about 6 months ago when our whole family went on vacation to Switzerland. She got sick and needed money. She couldn't reach any of us, so she decided to earn it herself." Just then, Jilin's phone rings loudly with the caller ID Wang Xiaoji. Hongai notices and nudges her, "Jayaki, it's your phone." Answering the call, Jilin slurs, "Hello." From the other end, Xiaoji urgently demands, "Jayaki, come to Grandma's place right now. I've found the evidence of Yi Chen selling the watch." The scene cuts to Yi Chen, standing tall in his suit, his phone also ringing. He checks the screen and mutters, "Wang Xiaoji." He answers the call with a cool hello. Xiaoji's voice barks through the phone, "Yi Chen, get over to Grandma's house immediately. I found the evidence of you selling the watch." Unfazed, Yi Chen coldly replies, "I'm busy, I don't have time." Cutting to Xiaoji, sitting arrogantly on a sofa, he taunts Yi Chen. "Yi Chen, are you afraid to come? The person who bought your watch, we've already brought them to the house. If you've got the guts, come and face them directly." Yi Chen's eyes narrow in suspicion as he thinks, "I never sold any watch. Where did Wang Xiaoji find this so-called witness?" Returning to his confident demeanor, Yi Chen firmly states, "Fine then, I'll go over and settle this once and for all so you people will stop bothering me." Hanging up the phone, Yi Chen turns to a stunning secretary in a tight white outfit and glasses, asking, "Secretary Joe, you can drive, right?" Surprised, she stammers, "Oh yes, I can." Yi Chen strides forward with a commanding presence, ordering her, "Let's go, take me to Zishan Villa," to which she eagerly replies, "Yes." A sleek black Mercedes driving down a sunny road. Inside the luxurious car, Yi Chen sits in the back seat, gazing out the window thoughtfully as he admits internally, "Returning to Zishan Villa like this, as the head of Huisheng Group, I have mixed emotions about this." The car eventually pulls up to the grand 30 minutes later, ornate gates of Zishan Villa. The driver's side door opens, and a stunning woman with long brown hair and glasses, wearing a sharp white skirt suit with a red tie, steps out. Watching from a distance, old Madam Wang and Wang Zhiqiang look on in confusion, with Zhiqiang whispering, "Isn't that Secretary Joe, President Qin's right-hand woman? Why is she behind the wheel?" Old Madam Wang asks, "What's she doing here? And where's Yi Chen?" As Secretary Joe walks gracefully around to the back of the car. Opening the rear door respectfully, she announces, "President Yi, we have arrived." Yi Chen steps out of the vehicle and calmly instructs her, "Secretary Joe, wait for me here," to which she obediently replies, "Understood." Witnessing this exchange, the Wang family is left completely dumbfounded. Old Madam Wang and Zhiqiang stare with wide eyes, thinking Zhou Rongrong is actually playing chauffeur for Yi Chen. While his ex-wife Wang Jialin mutters in sheer disbelief, "Yi Chen, how is this even possible?" Suddenly Wang Xiaoji points at Yi Chen with a triumphant smirk, loudly declaring, "Oh, I've figured it out. That phony Yi Chen is trying to pull that classic delivery boy makes good and shows up the rich family routine, isn't he?" Wang Jiao laughs mockingly in agreement, saying, "Oh yeah, totally. What a performance. It's absolutely ridiculous," as old Madam Wang nods, adding, "Xiaoji's got a point." Continuing his mockery, Xiaoji laughs and taunts, "Ha ha ha, Yi Chen, you really know how to put on an act. You're strutting around like some big shot, even got Secretary Joe to drive you and open your door. Come on, how much did you have to pay her for this little show?" Yi Chen simply stares blankly as Jiao insults him further. "Everyone knows you're just President Qin's lapdog over at Huisheng Group. Who exactly are you trying to impress with this act?" Internally, Yi Chen sighs. The Wang siblings haven't changed a bit, nothing but venom coming out of their mouths. He then notices Wang Jialin looking away with a flushed, arrogant smirk, wondering to himself, Wang Jiao is actually laughing. Convinced of her own delusion, Jialin thinks proudly, "Hong, I was right. Yi Chen joined Huisheng Group so he could eventually prove himself to me. What he's doing today is the clearest proof yet." Cutting the tension, Xiaoji turns toward the estate, telling Yi Chen, "Enough of this nonsense. Where's this witness you mentioned? These people must have something wrong with their heads. Inside, follow me." Yi Chen follows Xiaoji down a long, sunlit red carpet leading to the main hall, where two massive, muscle-bound thugs holding bats stand guard at the entrance. Entering the room, Yi Chen looks at the guards, thinking, "These are obviously street hoodlums. What are they doing inside Zishan Villa?" He is immediately greeted by the tattooed, red-braided Brother Melon, who sits arrogantly with his men and says, "Brother Yi Chen, we meet again." Yi Chen feigns ignorance, asking, "Have we ever met before?" Brother Melon smirks, playing his part perfectly. "You've already forgot. A couple days ago you came to sell me a watch. I paid you 5 million for it. I'm your Brother Melon." Xiaoji chimes in smugly. Every random high schooler in Yuncheng knows who Brother Melon is. "You expect me to believe you don't. I think you're just too chicken to admit you sold me the watch, so you're pretending not to know me." Unfazed, Yi Chen looks at Xiaoji and remarks, "Wang Xiaoji, this is the witness you dug up. Fits your usual style perfectly." Furious, Xiaoji yells, "What nonsense are you spouting? You obviously stole that watch." The scene cuts to an enraged old Madam Wang, flanked by thugs, as she screams, "Yi Chen, you stole from our Wang family and you still have the nerve to argue about it." Maintaining his composure, Yi Chen states firmly, "Old Madam Wang, I came here today to set the record straight. I never took your watch." Old Madam Wang thrusts forward a blue velvet box containing the luxurious Richard Mille timepiece, demanding, "Then how did this watch end up in Brother Melon's possession?" This is a globally limited edition. Every single one has a unique identifier. There's no mistaking it. Brother Melon backs her up, pointing an accusing finger at Yi Chen. "Kid, you're the one who brought this watch to me to sell. You even said after you got the money, you were going to book the presidential suite at Zizi Lake Hotel for an entire week." Melon continues pressing the lie. "If you didn't get 5 million from me, then tell us, where did the money for your hotel stay come from?" Standing behind Melon, Xiaoji thinks triumphantly, "We rehearsed these lines already. There's no way Yi Chen can counter them." Looking down in disappointment, Yi Chen laments, "I wanted to coexist with all of you as an ordinary person. I never imagined all I'd receive in return would be mockery and contempt." Suddenly, he stands tall, an imposing aura radiating from him as he declares, "Fine then, I'll lay all my cards on the table. I am the president of Huisheng Group." A dramatic close-up shows his intense gaze as he adds, "I'm a billionaire. Is that reason enough for you?" Wang family members stare blankly with comedic expressions for a second before erupting into hysterical, mocking laughter. Screaming and laughing, Xiaoji points at him, laughing until tears form. "Who do you think you are, the main character from some web drama? You even stole his lines. I can't breathe." To which Yi Chen confusingly asks, "What web drama?" Wang Jiao laughs so hard she has to hold her stomach, taunting, "Yi Chen, why are you so obsessed with pretending to be rich? Ha 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 ha. If you were really the head of Huasheng Group, forget my sister. I'd marry you myself as your second wife, and we sisters would take turns serving you." Stepping forward to play the benevolent ex-wife, Jilin tells him, "Yi Chen, you were my husband for 3 years after all. Our Wang family hasn't forgotten that. We're not going to let you rot in prison. You've already blown through tens of thousands, but you can pay it back slowly. As long as you get on your knees and admit you were wrong, you can walk out of here today." Unmoved by her fake mercy, Yi Chen replies coldly, "I didn't do anything wrong, so I won't kneel. And even if I had, not a single person in the Wang family is worthy of me kneeling to them." This instantly enrages old Madame Wang, who screams, "How dare you?" While Jiao yells, "Call the police. Send this worthless ex-son-in-law to prison for 10 years. Hearing the mention of police, Brother Melon sweats nervously, thinking, if this actually goes to the station, the whole truth is going to come out. Acting quickly, Melon approaches Yi Chen, grabbing his shoulder while thinking, all old Madame Wang wants is for him to kneel. If we can get that, we can muddle through this mess. He tries to coax Yi Chen out loud, "Brother, quit the act. Just kneel down and apologize to Grandma and young Master Wang. Don't worry, Grandma already said she won't let you go to prison." When Yi Chen refuses to budge, Melon drops the act, waving his hand to his gang and shouting, "Today, you're kneeling whether you like it or not. Brothers, make him kneel for me." Two burly thugs instantly grab Yi Chen's arms, threatening, "Didn't you hear what Brother Melon said? Get on your knees right now." Glaring back with a deadly expression, Yi Chen warns, "I already told you you're not worthy." With a swift, brutal motion, Yi Chen slams his elbow backward into the first thug's face, causing him to scream in pain. He then instantly pivots and delivers a devastating straight punch to the second thug's jaw, sending him flying back. Shocked by his combat skills, Brother Melon orders, "This guy can actually fight. Brothers, all together now." As a large, bald thug approaches with a bat, a tiny white poodle with blue bows suddenly runs into the fray, making the thugs jump back in surprise and shout, "A dog! Where did this dog come from?" Standing tall amidst the thugs, Yi Chen looks down as the brave little poodle barks fiercely at the attackers. Yi Chen gently picks the dog up, a soft smile crossing his face as he asks, "You little snob, weren't you barking at me just yesterday?" Internally, he reflects, Huahua may be old Madame Wang's beloved pet, but I've been the one cleaning up after it and feeding it these past few years. Now that I'm in danger, Huahua is still worried about me. The scene ends on a powerful close-up of Yi Chen holding the poodle, his eyes filled with profound disappointment and icy resolve as he states, "Even a dog knows who treats it well. That's more than I can say for some people who aren't even as good as animal." In the grand hall of the Wang family's estate, as old Madame Wang points an accusing finger at Yi Chen, commanding the woman in the red dress, "Yunyuan, go retrieve Huahua for me this instant." The woman eagerly replies, "Right away," while the tiny white poodle barks fiercely at her from Yi Chen's arms, apparently having chosen sides in this family feud. Glaring at Yi Chen, old Madame Wang issues a final ultimatum, declaring, "Yi Chen, I'll give you one last chance. Get on your knees voluntarily and confess, and you can spare yourself a world of pain." Lightning begins to crackle around Yi Chen's intense, glowing eyes as he fiercely shoots back. "Then allow me to repeat myself, none of you are worthy." Instantly, 3 heavily muscled street thugs rush him from all sides, with one lunging forward with a knife and screaming, "Say your prayers." With effortless agility, Yi Chen dodges the attacks, his mind flashing back to his past. A caption reveals, 4 years ago, a full year before I married into the Wang family, they arranged a battlefield trial for me and shipped me off to Syria for 12 months. Moving with blinding speed, Yi Chen delivers a devastating punch directly into a thug's face, thinking, these guys might seem tough compared to ordinary people. He brutally counterattacks the last thug, drawing blood with a vicious strike to the jaw as his internal monologue continues. But for someone who survived the battlefield, surrounded by blood and corpses day in and day out, this is basically child's play. Standing tall and untouched amidst the groaning bodies of the defeated thugs, Yi Chen's display of power shocks everyone until Brother Melon suddenly charges in, yelling, "You little brat." Flanked by 2 more men, Melon draws a gleaming combat knife, ordering his lackeys, "Hold him steady, I'm going to slice his hand tendons." Stepping aggressively into Yi Chen's personal space, Melon brandishes the blade and threatens, "Kid, you messed with my men, so today I'm going to mess with you permanently." Without a flinch, Yi Chen's hand shoots out like a viper, gripping Melon's wrist with terrifying force as the gang leader gasps, What are you trying to do?" In a swift, merciless motion, Yi Chen violently twists the arm, resulting in a loud crack as Melon screams out. Yi Chen continues the brutal submission, his eyes glowing with fierce red energy as blue lightning arcs around them, snapping the bones further while Melon shrieks in pure agony. The sheer brutality leaves the Wang family paralyzed with fear. Wang Jiaqi covers her mouth in horror, gasping internally, "Dear heavens." While old Madame Wang breaks into cold sweat thinking, how can one human being possess such terrifying combat ability? Trembling, the old madam wonders to herself, Could it be that the old man insisted on letting Jaeki marry Yi Chen because he knew about his skills? Meanwhile, a stunned Wang Jaeki contemplates, did Grandpa make me marry him so he could protect me? However, she quickly shakes off the thought, convincing herself, but we're living in peaceful times now, and the Wang family doesn't have any enemies. No, no, no. Grandpa, you made me marry him because his family is wealthy. Nearby, the bespectacled Wang Zhiyuan laughs with his brother Zhiqiang, noting, Zhiqiang, father really struck gold finding that son-in-law for your Jaeki. Thank goodness I refused back then. A confused Zhiqiang replies, what happened, prompting Zhiyun to explain, did you think father originally arranged the marriage between Yi Chen and Jaeki? Wrong, he approached me first. This leaves Zhiqiang shocked, asking, big brother, what did you say? A flashback shows their father proposing the idea to Zhiyun, saying, Zhiyun, there's an exceptionally rare top-quality son-in-law candidate available right now. Would you be willing to let Yunyun marry a few years early? Zhiyun proudly recalls his refusal, thinking, after learning it was a country bumpkin like Yi Chen, I rejected it on the grounds that Yunyun was too young, and only then was Yi Chen arranged for your Jaeki. Hearing this, Wang Jiayao in the red dress bursts into arrogant laughter, boasting, so it turns out Jia Yao picked up the man my younger sister rejected. Oh my, grandpa really is losing his mind, actually thinking of betrothing me to Yi Chen. Sure, he can fight, that's all. I have no interest in such a violent man. She then turns a smug smile to her sister Jaeki, teasing, fortunately, I was young at the time and dodged that bullet. Big sister, you can enjoy this wonderful fortune all to yourself, hee hee. Watching their petty sibling rivalry, Yi Chen looks down dejectedly, thinking, I never expected there to be such a backstory. His mind drifts back to his time in the desert ruins, in full military tactical gear, as he reflects, 3 years ago, when I had just returned from my battlefield trial, accustomed to blood and corpses, I was desperately yearning for love and a family. Remembering the first time he saw the beautiful Wang Jaeki in her school uniform, he thinks, back then, I fell for Wang Jaeki at first sight, dreaming of spending my whole life with such a cute and beautiful girl. Returning to the present, he stands amidst the beaten thugs, sighing internally, I never imagined the two of us would end up like this. Snapping back to the confrontation, Yi Chen violently grips the injured brother Melon by the collar, demanding with a terrifying aura, speak. Why did you falsely accuse me of theft and who put you up to it? Sweating profusely but keeping a defiant, crazed smile, Melon taunts him. I've been in the underworld for years. I stopped caring about life and death a long time ago. If you've got the nerve, then kill me. But I'm warning you, if you cross me, you'll definitely regret it. Fearing the truth will be exposed, a panicked Wang Shaoji aggressively interrupts. Yi Chen, stop this. Do you really want to commit murder right in front of Grandma? While sweating internally, if Yi Chen forces a confession out of him, I'm done for. Disgusted, Yi Chen drops Melon and grabs his suit jacket, stating coldly, I'll say it one more time, I have never stolen anything from your Wang family. If you have evidence, feel free to call the police and have me arrested, before turning back with a sharp glare adding, don't give me that nonsense about not calling the police for my own good or how you can't bear to see me go to prison. He pauses to gently stroke the little white poodle, affectionately saying, Hua. Looking deeply at the pet, he thinks, in my eyes, there's only one thing in the Wang family worth stealing, and that's you. As Shaoji angrily waves his hands in the background, yelling, put Hua down this instant, Yi Chen tells the dog softly, I won't be around anymore after today, so don't be such a picky eater. Having said his piece, Yi Chen confidently strides out of the mansion doors. Shaoji nervously turns to his father, asking, Dad, we're just letting him walk away like this. To which a sweating Zhiqiang replies, nobody here can match him in a fight. We'll have to find other ways to deal with him later. Zhiqiang then quickly turns his attention to the injured gang leader, asking cautiously, Brother Gua, are you all right? While thinking, we've seriously offended Brother Gua today, so we need to properly make amends. A furious Brother Gua screams in Shaoji's face, you little brat, you actually dragged me into a fight with such a tough opponent. You'd better add another $1,000,000 to cover my brother's medical expenses. Desperate, Shaoji reassures him, money is no object, as long as you can teach Yi Chen a severe lesson, preferably finish him off. Piling into his black van with his men, Gua declares firmly, fine, I'll definitely settle this matter with Yi Chen. I'm in a hurry, I'm leaving. As the van drives away from the estate, Gua stews in absolute rage, vowing internally, I was publicly humiliated by Yi Chen today and nearly had my hand crippled. I will have my revenge. The scene smoothly transitions to the bright, modern conference room of the Huisheng group. Yi Chen sits professionally at the head of the table, announcing, since everyone is in agreement, from this point forward we will officially begin our cooperation with Dingcheng Real Estate. Turning to his beautiful assistant Qin Hongyan, he instructs, Hongyan, have the Wang family, have Dingcheng Real Estate send someone over to explain their plans for this project to me in detail. I also want to inspect their preparations. Hongyan respectfully complies, understood, I will notify them immediately. The perspective shifts back to the serene, sunlit exterior of Zishan Villa. Inside, an ecstatic Wang Zhiqiang holds up his phone, announcing proudly, Mom, President Qin just called me and said that the CEO of Huisheng Group has agreed to finance our 70 million project. However, he wants me to discuss it face to face, to evaluate how well we've prepared. Overjoyed by the news, old Madame Wang instructs him, Zhiqiang, you must perform exceptionally well and leave an outstanding impression on President Yi. We'll want to continue cooperating with Huisheng in the future. Zhiqiang grins with absolute confidence, replying, absolutely, I will definitely impress President Yi. Suddenly, Wang Jiayao provocatively steps up and grasps Zhiqiang's shoulder, batting her eyes as she asks in a sweet, coaxing voice, Daddy, can I please come with you? The older man in a suit, Wang Zhiqiang, looking at his daughter Wang Yunyuan with surprise, asking, you want to come along? Yunyuan, wearing a red halter top, replies with an intrigued blush, I heard he's young and handsome, completely different from those old, wrinkly CEOs you usually deal with, while her sister Jaiki glares daggers from behind. Frustrated, Jaiki steps forward and warns, Yunyuan, it doesn't matter how attractive President Yi is, he's already spoken for. Or did you conveniently forget that President Qin and President Yi are a couple? Yunyuan simply scoffs with a smug expression, and what business is that of yours? Confidently striking a pose to show off her figure, Yunyuan declares, they're dating, not married. Besides, I'm younger than Qin Hongyan and my figure puts hers to shame. What's stopping me from stealing President Yi away? Her father Zhiqiang enthusiastically agrees, laughing, exactly right, I fully support my daughter. Yunyuan's thinking is absolutely spot on. In this world, exceptional people don't grow on trees. If you want one, you have to fight for them. Smiling, old Madame Wang officially announces, Yunyuan, this time you'll accompany your father to Huisheng Group to meet President Yi. Overjoyed, Yunyuan pumps her fist into the air, cheering, ah, really? Thank you, Grandma, you're the absolute best. Watching this clear favoritism unfold, a devastated Jaiki clenches her fists, complaining internally, I was the one who came up with the first-class private residence project in the first place, but Grandma handed it straight over to Uncle's branch to manage, before weakly protesting out loud, I want to go too. Yunyuan coldly shoots her down with a side glance, Sister Jaiki, you're a divorced woman now. You honestly think President Yi would be interested in someone on their second marriage? The scene shifts to old Madame Wang seated elegantly as Yunyuan massages her shoulders. The old madam declares, Yunyuan speaks the truth. Even though Jaiki is prettier on paper, I've decided to pair President Yi with Yunyuan instead. Jaiki, you can just make do with that Fang Ko boy. Yunyuan beams and reassures her. Don't you worry, Grandma. I'll have President Yi eating out of my hand in no time. Defeated, Jaiki grips her dress, crying inside. It's always like this. Grandma plays favorites so blatantly. 1 hour later at the Huisheng Group, Secretary Zhou opens the door to the CEO's office, announcing, President Yi, Wang Zhiqiang and his daughter have arrived together. Yi Chen, sitting imposingly at his desk, calmly orders, let them wait in the reception room for now, to which she replies, understood. Before she leaves, Yi Chen rests his chin thoughtfully on his hand and adds coldly, sighs and one more thing, don't bother serving them tea. In the reception room, Yunyun is now wearing a stunning, form-fitting blue floral kippah with a high thigh slit that would make any traditionalist do a double take. She looks down at her outfit and asks, Dad, why exactly did you make me wear this kippah? Sitting comfortably on the sofa, Zhiqiang explains, think about it, aside from that leg slit, everywhere else is completely covered. You don't understand these things. If you show up dressed too provocatively for a first meeting, President Yi will just see you as some floozy with no self-respect. Your goal is to become Mrs. Yi, not to be his side piece or weekend entertainment. You need to project class and elegance. That's how you make a man truly value you. Clenching her fists with determination, Yunyun agrees, thank you for the advice, Dad. I'll snatch President Yi right out from under Qin Hongyan's nose. Zhiqiang nods with a sinister, ambitious smile, plotting internally. If Yunyun manages to bag President Yi, then the position of Wang family head is as good as mine. Over 10 minutes pass and Yunyun sits impatiently, complaining, what kind of hospitality is this? They haven't even offered us a single cup of tea. Is this how Huisheng Group treats guests? She peeks her head out of the door, demanding of the passing secretary, Secretary Zhou, bring us 2 cups of tea immediately. I'd like black tea. Secretary Zhou smiles politely and responds, very well, please wait a moment. Another 10 minutes crawl by and Yunyun is practically vibrating with fiery rage, screaming internally, I can't believe this. That Secretary Zhou still hasn't brought my tea. Zhiqiang casually advises her, once you become the president's wife, you can fire her on your first day. Don't get worked up now. President Yi could walk through that door at any moment. Hearing this, Yunyun instantly forces down her anger with an audible scream and perfectly transitions into a graceful, cross-legged pose on the sofa, simply replying, fine. Half an hour later, the facade completely crumbles as Yunyun slumps exhausted against the cushions, sighing dramatically, Dad, I genuinely cannot maintain this posture any longer. Sitting like some refined lady is absolutely exhausting. Where on earth is President Yi? Zhiqiang frowns in annoyance. It seems President Yi doesn't exactly value our presence here, keeping us waiting for a full hour. Suddenly the door clicks open, and Yi Chen steps inside, looking devastatingly handsome in his tailored suit. Shocked by his appearance, Yunyun gasps, Yi Chen. He looks her up and down, remarking coolly, well now wearing a kippah. In the 3 years I've known you, this is the first time I've seen you in one. I have to admit, you actually pull off that delicate Jiangnan woman aesthetic reasonably well. Walking further in past a stunned Jikyang, Yi Chen continues, Sister Yunyuan, I'm well aware you're relaxed and casual at home, but do you conduct yourself this informally outside as well? Didn't your father ever teach you that such behavior comes across as terribly rude? Disgusted, Yunyun waves her hand at him dismissively, snapping, For your information, I didn't dress up in this kipao for your benefit, so don't you dare get any weird ideas about me. You weren't even good enough for Wang Jiaqi. What makes you think you'd ever be worthy of someone like Yi Chen calmly replies, You misunderstand completely. I was merely trying to, before Jikyang angrily interjects. Yi Chen, you're nothing but a bodyguard. What are you even doing up here on this floor? Where is President Yi? Realizing their ignorance, Yi Chen thinks, these two still refuse to accept that I am the actual head of Huasheng. He addresses them directly. You're here to discuss the first-class famous residence project, correct? You can simply present it to me. Jikyang smirks mockingly. You're just some low-level bodyguard, a useless thug who only knows how to throw punches. What could you possibly understand about major projects or business negotiations? Growing annoyed by the constant disrespect, Yi Chen turns his back, stating, So I take it you're not interested in discussing it. Fine, I'll be on my way then. Panic instantly sets in, and Yunyuan lunges forward to grab his sleeve, crying out, Wait just a moment. Yi Chen, please don't leave yet. I have something important to ask you. Looking up at him eagerly, she continues, You've been Qin Hongyan's personal bodyguard these past few days, so you must be fairly familiar with everything going on between Qin Hongyan and President Yi, correct? Yi Chen looks back, replying, I suppose you could say I know a thing or two. Overjoyed, Yunyuan gasps, Really? And immediately begins interrogating him, leaning in closely. Then can you tell me how intimate exactly is the relationship between Qin Hongyan and President? Do they spend nights together? Does he stay at her place or does she go to his? Annoyed by her probing questions, Yi Chen realizes internally, Wang Yunyuan has never been able to keep her mouth shut about anything. She'll spread whatever I tell her all over town. Might as well use her big mouth to finally squash these ridiculous rumors about me and Qin Hongyan. He states bluntly, they're not together anymore. They broke up. The news hits Yunyuan and Jikyang like a lightning bolt straight to the brain, their faces freezing in pure shock as they scream in unison, Broke up. Instantly, Yunyuan breaks into hysterical laughter, cheering, They broke up, ha 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 ha. This is absolutely wonderful. While Jikyang throws his arms in the air, rejoicing, They broke up. Heaven itself is smiling upon us. Heaven is blessing the Wang family. Yi Chen looks at them, deeply confused. Why exactly are the two of you celebrating their breakup like you just won the lottery? Yunyuan simply smirks with a proud smile and elegantly crosses her legs again on the sofa. She struggles to figure out what to call him now, stuttering awkwardly. Yi Chen, ah no, that won't do. Little Yi. Wait, that's confusing because President Yi is also Mr. Yi. Little Chen. Completely baffled by her shifting attitude, Yi Chen thinks with 3 massive question marks practically floating over his head. Changing how you address me 3 times in under 10 seconds. What exactly is your endgame here? Jikyang steps up, acting incredibly haughty as he explains. You really have a pig's brain, don't you? You're an employee of Huasheng Group now, correct? Which means your boss is President Yi. President Yi's future wife is your former sister-in-law, my daughter Wang Yunyuan. Jikyang leans in with a sinister, arrogant smile, elaborating. The family has decided that Yunyuan will form a marriage alliance with Huasheng Group. If this succeeds, you little brat will actually be related to us by marriage. Staring at her with a completely deadpan expression, Yi Chen asks, Let me get this straight, Sister Yunyuan. You're genuinely that confident President Yi will find you appealing. Oozing with absolute vanity, Yunyuan touches her chest and boasts, Any red-blooded man would have to be blind to feel indifferent toward me. I've kept myself pure all these years, never had a single boyfriend. The moment I show even a little initiative, President Yi will be completely smitten. Leaning back seductively to emphasize her curves, she adds her final delusional thought. And you know what? I've always suspected that the person who gifted that multi-million-dollar jade bracelet at Grandma's birthday banquet was actually President Yi himself. For all I know, President Yi has been secretly admiring me from afar for months. Yo, what's good everyone? Back with chapter 21. Yi Chen's finally got these clowns where he wants them after the big CEO drop. But the Wang family, still dumb as rocks, pulling shady moves to try and take him down one last time. Will he crush him for good or play along? Let's dive in. This one's wild hit that like if your team revenge. Observing the situation with a calm demeanor, the main character Yi Chen thinks to himself, this Wang Yunyuan self-confidence is truly operating on another level entirely. Realizing there is no point in investigating further, he concludes aloud to his former in-laws, You don't need to dig any deeper. That bracelet was definitely gifted by President Yi of Huasheng Group. Hearing this, Yunyuan clenches her fists in utter excitement and exclaims, Seriously, for real. It really came from President Yi. I told you my intuition never lies. She immediately turns to her father, Wang Jikyang, who is grinning from ear to ear and squeals, Dad, did you catch that? President Yi genuinely has feelings for me. Her father laughs heartily and proudly declares, I never imagined that my, Wang Zhiqiang's, future son-in-law would actually turn out to be the president of Huisheng Group. Thrilled by the prospect, Yunyun adds, I need to share this with Grandma the moment I get back. She's going to be absolutely over the moon. Watching the greedy duo celebrate their delusional fantasy, Yi Chen sweats awkwardly and mutters internally, this family is genuinely nauseating. Dreaming of another marriage alliance between the Yi family and the Wang family. They might as well be asking for the moon. Impatient, Yunyun asks Yi Chen, so where exactly is President Yi right now? I demand to see him. Yi Chen smirks slightly, deciding to play along with their ignorance of his true identity, and replies, President Yi. He's currently meeting with some guests in the reception room. Annoyed by the delay, Yunyun complains, what's taking him so long? Are the guests really that difficult to deal with? Leaning in slightly, Yi Chen mockingly invents a story. Oh yeah, the clients are actually a father and daughter pair. The dad's been following President Yi around like a lost puppy, and that daughter, well, let's just say she's not hard on the eyes. Dressed pretty provocatively too, and from what I could tell, she's currently putting serious effort into winning President Yi over. I wouldn't expect them to emerge anytime soon. Instantly consumed by jealousy, Yunyun clutches her dress furiously and snaps. What a cheap, shameless woman, throwing herself at President Yi like that right in his own company. No wonder he hasn't come to see us all this time. Which room are they in? I'm going to march over there and give that little hussy a piece of my mind. Before she can storm off, her father grabs her shoulder in panic, warning, don't do anything rash. You absolutely cannot let your first impression on President Yi be a negative one. Calming down slightly but still fuming, she points forward and demands, fine, we'll wait here, but you let us know immediately the moment President Yi becomes available. As Yi Chen turns and walks away. 5 minutes later, a busty receptionist wearing glasses approaches the father and daughter with an apologetic smile, saying, I am truly sorry to have kept you waiting for several hours, but President Yi genuinely has no time to see you today. Mr. Wang, Miss Wang, President Yi had some urgent matters come up and has already left the company. He asked me to tell you to go on ahead and head back for now. Both the father and daughter gasp in complete shock, blurting out, what? In perfect unison. Desperate, the father presses on, asking, then did President Yi mention when he might be available? Will he be returning to the company this afternoon at all? Maintaining her polite smile, the receptionist answers, I honestly couldn't say for certain. Please, you two, go ahead and take your leave. Defeated, they walk out of the grand glass doors of the Huisheng Group building. Pulling out his phone, Zhiqiang tries to look on the bright side, stating, well, the trip wasn't a complete waste. At least we've confirmed that the one who gifted old madam that 10 million yuan bracelet is definitely President. He then dials a number and instructs, hello mom, it's me. Gather everyone at Zishan Villa and wait for me to arrive. Soon after, at the beautiful traditional estate of Zishan Villa, a flustered Jiaki, Yi Chen's ex-wife wearing a pink blazer, questions Yunyun, what's this all about? You just left and now you're calling me back again. Did you finalize the contract or not? Smirking confidently in her fur-lined shawl, Yunyun replies, forget the contract for now. I have another piece of joyful news to share with everyone. Striking a glamorous pose in front of the gathered family members, she proudly announces, the person who gifted that 10 million yuan jade bracelet at Grandma's birthday banquet was none other than President Yi of Huisheng Group himself. The room erupts in astonished murmurs as relatives exclaim, what, President Yi gave that? Jiaki's eyes widen in bitter realization as she thinks to herself, I really was overthinking things. There's no way it could have been from Yi Chen. An older male relative adjusts his glasses in confusion, asking, how exactly is this good news? President Yi and President Qin are supposed to be a couple, and President Qin has always had a good relationship with our Wang family. If he sent it on President Qin's behalf, then why would he send it separately at the very end of the banquet? A woman beside him quickly corrects him. Su Lan, haven't you heard? President Yi and President Qin have already split up. If he was sending it for President Qin's sake, why would he time it like that? The older man connects the dots, mumbling, you mean to say? Yunyun flips her hair arrogantly and boasts, do you even need to ask? President Yi clearly gave Grandma that gift because of me. And remember, at that time, sister hadn't even divorced Yi Chen yet. Grandma claps her hands in sheer delight, exclaiming, now that analysis makes perfect sense. I knew all along that whoever sent that gift must be a man with feelings for Yunyu. I never expected that man to actually be the president of Huisheng Group. The fortune of our Wang family has finally arrived. Holding her grandmother's hands endearingly, Yunyun promises, Grandma, I will absolutely cultivate a wonderful relationship with President and elevate our Wang family to the ranks of Yunju's first-class families. Grandma beams with pride, replying, wonderful, wonderful, my granddaughter shows such promise. Still skeptical, Jaiki glares at her and demands, who exactly did you hear all this from? Is this information even reliable? Yunyun sneers viciously, mocking her. It came straight from your useless ex-husband's mouth, so of course it's reliable. Turning back to their grandmother, Yunyun continues, Grandma, President Yi was too swamped this morning and couldn't find time to see us. This afternoon I'll go to the company alone and find him. Rest assured I can handle. Jaiki stammers in absolute disbelief as Yunyun shoots her a condescending glare, adding, Oh, and by the way, sister, if you don't have any pressing plans this afternoon, you can just act as my driver and take me to Huisheng Group. Enraged to her core, Jaiki thinks, Wang Yunyuan has gone way too far, humiliating me like this right in front of the entire family. She screams out loud, I'm extremely busy. I don't have time to chauffeur you around. Before turning and fleeing the room in tears, ignoring her relatives calling out, Hey, Jaiki, wait. Speeding down a winding mountain road in her black Audi, tears stream down Jaiki's face as she grips the steering wheel and cries, Damn it, damn it, damn it. Distracted by her immense frustration, she suddenly screams in sheer terror as her car swerves violently off the road, crashing forcefully into a large tree. Slumped over the steering wheel, she weeps bitterly, complaining, I hate this, I hate everything, I hate my life. It's all Yi Chen's fault. He's the reason I've lost so much face. Meanwhile, high up in the towering Huisheng Group building, the handsome CEO Yi Chen is diligently reviewing paperwork at his desk when his phone begins to buzz. He picks it up and calmly answers, Hello, only to be met with Jaiki shrieking furiously through the speaker, Yi Chen, you absolute bastard. I hate you with every fiber of my being. Letting out an exhausted sigh, Yi Chen pinches the bridge of his nose and thinks, this woman, after everything that's happened, still refuses to engage in any self-reflection. Her only talent seems to be hurling insults at me. He calmly asks, what seems to be the problem now? Gripping her phone tightly in the wrecked car, Jaiki yells desperately, you bastard, bastard, bastard. If you were going to pretend to be the one who gave that jade bracelet from the very beginning, why couldn't you just keep up the act? Why did you have to go and tell Uncle and Yunyun the truth? Do you have any idea how much face I've lost within the family because of you? Flipping to the next page of his document completely unfazed, Yi Chen replies smoothly, so that's what this is about. I was telling the truth the entire time. It's just that none of them chose to believe. Unwilling to listen, Jaiki rants through her tears. Now everyone in the family is convinced that you, Yi Chen, have feelings for Wang Yunyuan. In front of the whole family, Grandma couldn't stop singing her praises. Do you know what that wretched girl Yunyuan just said to me? She actually had the audacity to tell me to act as her personal driver. If she ends up marrying President Yi in the future, I'll have absolutely zero standing left in the Wang family. Narrowing his eyes, Yi Chen coldly retorts, don't you still have that young master from the Fang family to fall back on? She swallows her pride and admits, Fang Kao can't even begin to compare with President Yi. He's not even considered a true executive in their family business. They exist on completely different levels entirely. Amused by her sudden change of tune, Yi Chen rests his chin on his hand and mocks. Hearing you say that, I honestly can't tell if I should feel flattered or concerned. Hearing this, Jaiki's voice rings out over the line. What exactly are you so pleased about? Sure, Fang Kao can't compare to President Yi, but he's still 10,000 times better than you. At the very least, he can actually help our Wang family and allow me to hold my head high both within the family and out in public. And what about you? All you ever did was bring me shame. You left behind this enormous mess before the divorce for me to clean up. Finally losing his patience, Yi Chen glares coldly and warns, this woman is impossible. If you only called to berate me, then I'm hanging up. I have actual work to do. Realizing she pushed too far, Jaiki instantly panics, pleading, wait, don't hang up. I called because I need you to do me a favor. Putting on a serious expression, he finally demands, what exactly is it that you want? Still gripped by jealousy, Jaiki glares bitterly while on the phone with Yi Chen, demanding, Yi Chen, I refuse to let Wang Yunyuan have things go smoothly with your President Yi. Yi Chen furrows his brow, asking calmly, what exactly are you getting at? A wicked smirk crosses her face as she plots, Wang Yunyuan will be heading to your company again this afternoon. She's been really into black tea lately. Pour her a cup, slip some laxatives into it, and make her spend the whole meeting running to the bathroom. Or when you brush past her, pretend to be clumsy and tear her kippo. You're strong enough, she'd never suspect you. Pinching the bridge of his nose in exhaustion, Yi Chen replies reluctantly, fine, I'll help you out with this, but honestly, there's no need for all that nonsense. I'll just have President Yi refuse to see her. I didn't want to deal with Wang Yunyuan in the first place. Infuriated that he isn't taking her elaborate revenge seriously, Jaiki snaps, stop talking big, you're just a bodyguard. You think you can tell President Yi not to see someone and he'll just listen. Unfazed, Yi Chen coldly states, believe whatever you want, before abruptly ending the call. Glaring at her dead screen, Jaiki fumes, he actually dared to hang up on me. This man has way too much nerve. Later that afternoon at 2 o'clock, Wang Yunyuan confidently strides into the president's floor of the Huisheng Group in her blue kippo, ordering the receptionist, HMPH, Secretary Zhou, take me to see President Yi immediately. The busty assistant adjusts her glasses and politely intercepts her, saying, Miss Wang, I'm terribly sorry, but you really should head back. Confused and impatient, Yunyuan asks, why? Is President Yi not coming back at all this afternoon? Sweating nervously as she quickly invents an excuse, Secretary Zhou explains, it's not that at all. President Yi mentioned that you're far too beautiful. If he tried to discuss the contract with you, he's afraid he'd be so distracted by your looks that he'd completely forget about work. So he'd prefer you send someone else from your family instead. Instantly blushing, Yunyuan's ego inflates to dangerous levels as she gasps in pure delight. Send someone else. Did President Yi really? Just compliment my beauty. Seeing the lie working perfectly, Secretary Joe nods smoothly, adding, absolute. President Yi also follows your short video account and watches your content regularly. Overjoyed, Union squeals happily. President Yi really is one of my admirers. Fine then, I'll let someone else come instead. Secretary Joe, please tell President Yi that he's welcome to ask me out for coffee or a movie anytime he's free. Joe forces a polite smile and assures her, I'll be sure to pass along the message. Pulling a thick stack of cash from her designer bag, Union slides it across the desk, saying, this is a little something for you. Taken aback, Joe asks, what's this for? Leaning in closely, Union whispers eagerly, just send me a photo of President Yi. Firmly pushing the bribe back, Joe shakes her head. Miss Wang, I don't actually have any pictures of President Yi myself. Lowering her voice conspiratorially, Joe hints, but I can tell you this much. President Yi is extremely handsome and around the same age as you. Yunyun blushes furiously, her imagination running wild as she turns and leaves in high spirits. Watching her walk away, Secretary Joe covers her mouth and scoffs silently. All that beauty and absolutely nothing going on upstairs. Meanwhile, far away in Man City, country tea, a distinguished older man named Lord Liu Zhenkun pours himself a glass of whiskey. Sitting in his luxurious office, he questions his heavily bruised and bleeding subordinate. Zigua, why did you travel all the way from Yunju just to find me? What happened this time? Sweating profusely, the tattooed thug praises him. Lord Liu's foresight is truly divine. I've indeed run into some trouble in Yunju and need to beg for your assistance. Kneeling on the floor in absolute disgrace, Zigua continues. The situation is like this. Exploding in sudden rage, Lord Liu smashes his whiskey glass over Zigua's head, roaring, what did you just say? You worthless idiot. I left you with plenty of men back then. There should have been at least 70 or 80 still under your command. And now you're telling me you only have 10 fucking left, and they're all crippled. Trembling in fear, Zigua pleads, it's entirely my uselessness. Please punish me however you see fit, Lord Liu. Lighting a cigar to calm his nerves, Lord Liu exhales a thick cloud of smoke and sighs. Forget it. Times have changed. Fighting and killing accomplish nothing nowadays. We're people who live in the shadows. There's no place for us to survive out in the open sunlight. That's exactly why I left Yunju 2 years ago and shifted my focus to these desperate regions in Southeast Asia. Desperate to make amends, Zigua begs, if I had even half of Lord Liu's intelligence, I never would have ended up in such a miserable state today. I beg you, Lord Liu, let me lead 100 men back there to avenge our fallen brothers. Lord Liu picks up his smartphone and explains, I grew up an orphan, just like you. The reason I have the mindset and achievements I do today is all thanks to Master Fang's guidance. Wait here a moment. As the call connects, Liu's tone shifts to one of deep reverence. Master Fang, it's me, Liuzi. I hope I'm not disturbing your rest. Realizing who is on the phone, Zigua watches in awe, knowing this is the legendary true boss who raised Lord Liu from nothing. Liu continues respectfully. It's like this. I'm planning to return to Yunju in the next couple days to handle some matters. It's also been a while since I visited you, so I've prepared some gifts. What's that? You're actually in Yunju right now. That's wonderful news. I'll book a flight immediately. Master Fang, I'll come pay my respects to you shortly. Hanging up, Lord Liu turns to his subordinate with a smirk. You're in luck, kid. Master Fang happens to be in Yunju at this very moment. Thrilled by the news, Zigua asks eagerly, really? Then Lord Liu, could you possibly introduce me as well? I'd love the chance to meet our Grandmaster. Lord Liu slaps him hard across the face, scolding. Do you honestly think Master Fang has time for some useless nobody who's accomplished absolutely nothing? Even I have to schedule an appointment well in advance just to see him. Adjusting his posture, Liu commands, book me a flight immediately. I'm going to visit Master Fang, and while I'm there, I'll handle that kid named Yi Chen you mentioned. Clenching his fists with a wicked grin, excellent. I want Yi Chen dead more than anything. Thank you, Lord Liu. Later that evening back at the Wang residence in Yunju, Zhiqiang holds a glass of wine and remarks, so President Yi couldn't seriously discuss business because he was too distracted. Yuanyuan, it seems President Yi is genuinely infatuated with you. Basking in the praise, Yuanyuan smiles smugly and replies, well, obviously. Zhiqiang then turns to another young man in the room and instructs, since President Yi requested we send someone else, Sheaji, you'll go see President Yi tomorrow instead. Glaring at his phone screen with a sinister expression, Sheaji thinks to himself, perfect. I was planning to find that useless piece of trash Yi Chen tomorrow anyway. Tomorrow, that fool Yi Chen will regret ever being born. The next morning at Master Fang's grand, sunlit villa, Lord Liu and his men arrive to pay their respects. Taking off his hat and bowing deeply alongside his associates, Liu greets the gray-haired man sitting before them, Master Fang. Adjusting his glasses gracefully, the sharply dressed Master Fang replies humbly, Zhenkun, you're a regional boss now after all. There's no need to bow to me like this. Straightening up with utter devotion, Liu insists, I, Liu Zhenkun, would be nothing today without Master Fang's guidance and cultivation. I would never dare forget such a tremendous favor for as long as I live. Master Fang, haven't you been living in the UK for the past 2 years? What brought you back to the country suddenly, and to this city of Yunju of all places? Taking a slow sip of his tea, Master Fang answers calmly, The old master sent me here to assist the third young master. Lord Liu's eyes widen in sheer shock as the magnitude of the situation dawns on him, thinking to himself, could it possibly be? To think the third young master is actually hiding here in Yunju, I never would have imagined. The master above Master Fang is truly a figure of immense importance. Across the entire world, he ranks among the most powerful people alive. Setting his teacup down firmly, Master Fang warns, tell your subordinates not to go running around causing trouble blindly. If they disturb the third young master in any way, you'll be the one facing the severe consequences. Lord Liu nods vigorously, agreeing, yes, absolutely, Master Fang. Cautious not to make a fatal mistake, Liu requests politely, Master Fang, would it be possible for you to tell me what the young master looks like? This lowly one would never forgive himself if he failed to recognize such an important figure and accidentally offended him. That would be a crime deserving 10,000 deaths. With a subtle gesture from Master Fang, his assistant steps forward and hands Liu a photograph. Staring down at the image, Master Fang instructs, this is the third young master. He is currently undergoing the family's trial mission, so do not disturb him under any circumstances. When your services are needed, I will naturally summon you. As Lord Liu examines the photo, a look of profound disbelief washes over his face. The immensely powerful third young master he was just ordered to protect is none other than Yi Chen, the very man he had planned to kill. Admiring the photograph in his hand, Lord Liu praises enthusiastically, the third young master is truly handsome. Anyone can see at a glance that he comes from an extraordinary family. I would give anything just to catch a glimpse of the young master's esteemed face in person someday. Sitting calmly in his armchair, Master Fang notes, the third young master has already been in Yunju for 3 years now, and he'll likely remain here for another year or two. Changing the subject, Fang asks, by the way, haven't you been recruiting men in Southeast Asia these past few years? What brought you back so suddenly? Lord Liu explains respectfully, I have an underling named Zigua who ran into some trouble, so I brought about 100 men recruited from various Southeast Asian countries to help him deal with it. Master Fang's expression darkens as he warns sternly, I don't particularly care what you do, but don't let it affect the third young master in any way. Nodding furiously, Liu agrees, of course. Satisfied, Fang stands up and invites him. All right then, come play a game of chess with me. Let's see if your skills have improved at all. Meanwhile, outside the towering Huisheng Group Company building, an infuriated Wang Xiaoji paces back and forth, complaining bitterly, what exactly is going on with Huisheng's CEO? He's left me sitting in that reception room for a full 2 hours. What does President Yi think he's playing at? He clearly has a thing for my sister, yet he treats me, his future brother-in-law, like this. The tempers of these top tycoons are absolutely baffling. Deciding to take out his frustration elsewhere, he snarls, forget this. I'm going to go find that kid Yi Chen and give him a piece of my mind. Up in his luxurious office, Yi Chen glances at his ringing phone, seeing Xiaoji's name flash across the screen and answers calmly. Xiaoji immediately barks over the line, Yi Chen, you brat, you're here. Let me ask you something. Where's your President Yi hiding? Unfazed, Yi Chen questions casually, what do you want with me? Before dryly adding, President Yi, he's currently chatting with an idiot. Completely missing the insult, Xiaoji scoffs loudly, I totally agree. What kind of moron takes that long just chatting with President Yi? Yi Chen rolls his eyes and clarifies coldly, you really have no self-awareness. The idiot I'm referring to is you. Soon after the two men meet face to face. Looking Yi Chen up and down, Xiaoji sneers, Yi Chen, you claim to be a bodyguard, yet you strut around dressed like a CEO. Who exactly are you trying to impress? Pointing an accusing finger at him, Xiaoji threatens, and that little stunt you pulled, hitting me in front of all those big shots in Yunju. I'm not letting that slide anytime soon. Xiaoji brags arrogantly, didn't you get Zigua to set me up? Too bad your precious brother Gua couldn't help you get revenge either. Don't get too comfortable, brother Gua's boss just sent over about 100 top-tier thugs. Hearing this, Yi Chen narrows his eyes, thinking about Qin Hongyan's safety and warns, I'm just saying be careful on your way home from work from now on. And maybe don't drink too much, wouldn't want to end up beaten to pulp without even knowing what hit you. Loosening his tie, Yi Chen challenges him directly. Actually, why wait? Why don't you have them come to the company parking lot right now? Save them the trouble of ambushing me later. Let's settle this directly. Xiaoji eagerly points at his phone. Fine, you said it. I'll have Brother Gua send people over immediately. If you've got any guts, come down and wait with me right now. Yi Chen confidently agrees, sure, I'll be waiting. Walking down into the dimly lit underground parking lot, Xiaoji immediately grabs a pipe and starts smashing the security cameras. Watching him calmly, Yi Chen asks, what exactly are you doing? Xiaoji turns around with a sinister grin, boasting, now that I've taken out all the cameras, even if I beat you to death right here, there won't be any evidence left. Yi Chen simply smiles, cracking his knuckles as he retorts, is that so? Then by that logic, if I beat you to death here, there won't be any evidence either, right? Before Xiaoji can even react, Yi Chen dashes forward with terrifying speed. Xiaoji panics, stammering, what are you doing? But is instantly met with a brutal punch to the face, making him scream in sheer agony. Gripping a terrified Sheaji by the collar, Yi Chen mocks, Wang Sheaji, are you really this stupid? You really thought I'd just stand here waiting for you to call your thugs? Why wouldn't I beat you up first? Suddenly, a loud voice echoes through the garage. Let him go. Zigua arrives with his menacing squad of muscular thugs, ordering everyone get him. As the thugs charge, Yi Chen effortlessly dodges and weaves, delivering devastating strikes. He notes to himself, these 10 are definitely a cut above the usual street trash. Watching from the sidelines, Zigua sneers confidently. Yi Chen, stop struggling. These men aren't something you can handle. Tell you what, get on your knees, acknowledge me as your boss, pledge your loyalty to me from now on, and I'll spare you. How does that sound? Yi Chen's voice cuts through the chaos, declaring fiercely, you're not worthy. Sweating as he watches Yi Chen systematically dismantle his best men, Zigua desperately calls his boss, pleading, Lord Liu, you absolutely need to send someone stronger, someone who can take on 10 men single-handedly. I have to recruit someone with this kind of talent under my command. Striding through a lavish hallway, Lord Liu replies enthusiastically, what? Send me the location, I'll head over immediately. I can't believe there's someone in this country who can handle 10 men at once. I must have a talent like this on my side. 10 minutes later, a sleek black car screeches to a halt inside the parking lot. Lord Liu steps out as Zigua rushes over eagerly, greeting, Lord Liu, you've arrived. I told you 10 men weren't enough. Let's just send 100 and finish him off directly. Shoving Zigua aside roughly, Lord Liu barks, useless waste, get out of my way. Let me get a look at this Yi Chen character. Nearby, Yi Chen finishes kicking down the last thug, panting slightly as he strategizes. These 10 took a lot out of me. If another dozen or so show up, things could get dicey. Best way to handle this, catch the leader first. I'll take down this Lord Liu immediately. Meanwhile, a heavily bruised Sheaji points at Yi Chen and taunts. Yi Chen, Lord Liu is someone you absolutely cannot afford to cross. If you know what's good for you, get on your knees right now and apologize. However, as Lord Liu finally gets a clear look at Yi Chen's face, his eyes widen in pure, unadulterated terror. Yi Chen clears his throat lightly, locking eyes with the petrified crime boss. Completely oblivious to Liu's trembling, Sheaji continues to yell, Lord Liu, finish him. Beat him to death, staring at the man he was just ordered to protect at all costs. The man whose photograph is currently burning a hole in his pocket. Lord Liu stammers in utter horror, why you? Without a second of hesitation, Lord Liu spins around and delivers a ruthless, bone-crushing punch straight to Sheaji's already battered face. Holding his stinging cheek in complete bewilderment, Sheaji cries out, Lord Liu. What are you? Ignoring the fool completely, Lord Liu immediately drops to his knees, pressing his forehead to the concrete floor in absolute submission as he screams, why young master? A tense standoff as an older man in a traditional blue tunic, kneeling on the ground with a terrified, sweating face, stares up and exclaims internally, this Yi Chen is the spitting image of the third young master in the photo Master Fang sent. Out loud, he desperately declares, young master, I am one of Master Fang's men. Looking down at the kneeling man with an icy glare, Yi Chen responds, so you work for Butler Fang. The man, identifying himself as Liu Kun, bows his head in profound fear and pleads, for what happened today, I, Liu Kun, deserve to die 1,000 times over. Please punish me however you see fit, young master. Standing nearby, the red-braided Brother Melon is completely stunned by this turn of events, sweating as he asks, Lord Liu, what are you talking about? This guy is just our family's live-in son-in-law. Why are you calling him young master? Did you mistake him for someone else? Furious at this insolence, Liu Kun turns his head and glares at Brother Melon, screaming, you worthless fool, get down on your knees before the young master this instant. Pointing to himself in utter bewilderment, Brother Melon stammers, wait me, kneel to him. Without hesitation, Liu Kun violently grabs Brother Melon by the hair, forcing him to the ground as he orders, kneel, kowtow 100 times and make them loud. If even one is too quiet, you start over. Brother Melon immediately begins repeatedly slamming his head against the concrete, begging, Brother Yi Chen, Master Yi Chen, I Zigua was blind to offend you. Please be merciful and forgive this worthless fool. Watching from the sidelines, a heavily bruised Wang Sheaji is totally dumbfounded, exclaiming in shock, what is happening? How did Yi Chen suddenly become Brother Gua's boss? Unfazed by the frantic apologies, Yi Chen calmly instructs the kowtowing man, that's enough. No need for more. You just need to go explain to the Wang family that I didn't steal their watch. Looking up with a red, bruised forehead, Brother Gua agrees immediately. Yes, absolute. I'll tell the Wang family that Wang Sheaji was the one who put me up to this. Panic instantly sets in for Sheaji, who frantically waves his hands and yells, hey, Brother Gua, what about me? You can't just sell me out like this. In a flash of loyalty to Yi Chen, Liu Kun lunges forward and grabs Sheaji by the hair, shouting, so you're the one who falsely accused our young master. Men, throw him into the Lu River. Sheaji screams out in terror, sliding across the floor to desperately cling to Yi Chen's leg as he cries, brother-in-law, save me. We're family, you can't let them do this to me. Looking down with absolute disgust, Yi Chen pulls his leg away and retorts, who in the world is your brother-in-law? tears streaming down his bruised face. Shaeji desperately negotiates. Brother Chen, I know I was wrong, please forgive me. I'll give Wang Yunyuan to you, and tonight I'll get Wang Jilin drunk and send her over to your place, okay? Disgusted by this sheer lack of humanity, Yi Chen delivers a fierce kick to Shaeji's chest, sending him flying backwards as he reprimands him. You absolute animal, Wang Jilin and Wang Yunyuan are both your sisters, one of them your own blood, and you're offering them up like bargaining chips. Do you have any decency left in you? Still begging from the floor, Shaeji pleads, brother-in-law, you have to save me at least. Yi Chen simply turns away, coldly instructing his men, let him off for today. As he walks off, Yi Chen glances back over his shoulder and warns, when you get back, you'd better explain the whole truth to the Wang family about how you framed me. Shaeji scrambles away as fast as he can, cowardly shouting back, yes, 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 thank you, Brother Chen. The older man in the blue tunic remains kneeling, respectfully stating, young master, this lowly one is Zhengkun, one of Master Fang's subordinates. I brought 100 men from Southeast Asia this time, and I am willing to offer them all for your use. Yi Chen nods calmly and accepts the offer, saying, I understand, take your men and leave for now. Internally, he notes, these people might come in handy for certain special situations down the line. The scene shifts back to the serene exterior of Zishan Villa. Inside, Shaeji sits on the sofa with a severely bruised and swollen face as someone asks, Shaeji, what happened to your face? Sweating and looking away shiftily, he lies, it's nothing serious, I had a little accident with the car. Addressing old Madam Wang and his second uncle, Shaeji admits the truth, Grandma, second uncle, actually that Richard Mill watch wasn't stolen by Yi Chen. I took it myself to frame him. He sweats nervously, thinking to himself, this Yi Chen has connections with some seriously dangerous people. I'd better not poke that bear again. Old Madam Wang waves her hand dismissively, stating, let's forget it then. So he was wrong this time. But that Yi Chen isn't exactly innocent either. Even if he didn't steal from our house, I could still find out if he stole from someone else's. Where else would he get the money to stay in a 5-star hotel? She then pivots the conversation, asking, by the way, Shaeji, did you go to Huisheng Group today and meet with President Yi? Pondering the situation with a deep frown, old Madam Wang wonders aloud, what exactly is this President Yi playing at? Is he going to refuse to negotiate unless this old woman personally shows up? Standing nearby, Jilin steps forward eagerly and volunteers. Grandma, how about letting me try? She reasons internally. This project was originally planned together by Yi Chen and me. Maybe President Yi has been waiting for the real project planner to show up. Yunyun instantly sneers at her sister, mocking, our whole family went and President Yi wouldn't see any of us, but you think he'll make an exception for you. You really think highly of yourself, don't you? Refusing to back down, Jilin looks to her grandmother, pleading, Grandma. Old Madam Wang nods in agreement, saying, Jilin, go ahead and give it a try. Gripping her cane firmly, the old madam declares with finality, if it still doesn't work when you go, then I will personally pay a visit to President. In short, we must secure this cooperation with Huisheng Group at any cost. A caption reads 2:00 p.m. HUSHNG Group. Jilin arrives at the sleek corporate office, asking, Secretary Zhou, is President Yi available? Secretary Zhou politely replies, Miss Wang, please wait in the reception room first. President Yi is still occupied with something, to which Jilin softly answers, all right. Sitting quietly in the reception room, Jilin looks down at the glass in her hands, recognizing the drink and thinking, honey water. For the past 3 years, Yi Chen would make me a cup of honey water every single morning. Meanwhile, outside the president's office, Qin Hongyan checks her phone and informs Yi Chen, Wang Jilin is here. Do you want to see her? Yi Chen considers this, stating, I've already turned away Wang Zhiqiang, Wang Yunyuan, and Wang Shaeji when they came to discuss the contract. If we keep refusing them like this, the Wang family will definitely think we're just stringing them along. Since we've decided to go through with the cooperation, we might as well give them the 70 million. Yi Chen then looks at Qin Hongyan, instructing, Hongyan, bring me the contract, to which she replies, right away. Yi Chen opens the door to the reception room, and Jilin looks up in surprise, saying, Yi Chen, it's you. Looking at her, Yi Chen thinks to himself, Wang Jilin always used to dress like this at home, comfortable and casual, yet still quite pretty and charming. Trying to act cordial, Jilin smiles and says, President, you must be very busy, right? I imagine he won't be able to come for a while. You can sit down and keep me company. Ignoring her attempt at small talk, Yi Chen coldly holds out a blue folder and states, I have nothing to discuss with you. He hands the document over, instructing, take a look at the contract. If you find no issues with it, you can go ahead and sign. The 70 million will be transferred to your company's account in 3 installments within the week. Jilin opens the folder, thoroughly stunned as she thinks, President Yi has already approved this. I thought he would need to review things more carefully before releasing the funds. However, as she reads the cover page, her eyes widen in shock. She gasps out loud, this, First Class Jilin. The bold text on the contract proudly displays the name First Class JIL. Looking up at Yi Chen with utter bewilderment, she asks, why does it say this? Yi Chen stands calmly before her with his hands in his pockets, as she suddenly realizes in her mind, This is the name Yi Chen gave this project when we were planning it together half a year ago. A warm flashback reveals a younger Yi Chen in casual clothes, smiling brightly as he types on his laptop, suggesting to her, "This project is meant for you, so how about we call it First Class Jyelin?" Smiling brightly as he types on his laptop, he suggests to his then-wife Jyelin, "Half a year ago, when I was putting this project together, I named it First Class Jyelin, because I came up with this whole thing for Wang Jiaqi. Of course I wanted to put her name on it." Returning to the present, Yi Chen stands before the stunned Jyelin, looking down at her with a gentle yet bittersweet expression. He continues, "Back then, I figured even if the Wang family didn't support it, half a year later, after the 3-year live-in son-in-law trial period ended, I would use my own family's money to get this First-Class Jyelin project off the ground. It was meant to be my gift to my wife." Jyelin, clutching the contract tightly to her chest, looks up at him with wide, teary eyes, asking softly, "This was named after me?" Yi Chen smiles faintly, his expression tinged with a mix of fondness and regret, and explains, "Who could have predicted that Wang Jiaqi would later cheat on me? Private residence and dead residence sound a bit too similar, bad luck, so we changed the name." He tilts his head slightly, his tone shifting to a more casual, almost teasing one as he asks, "What, you don't like this name?" Jylin's face flushes crimson as she realizes the depth of his past devotion. She stammers, "Yi Chen, you begged President Yi to use this name, didn't you?" Refusing to accept his genuine success, she rationalizes internally, "Yi Chen is just a bodyguard. Why would President Yi listen to him? Did he kneel down and beg for this favor?" The scene transitions to a delicate close-up shot of a man's hand gently grasping a woman's hand, accompanied by the sound effect "sha." Yi Chen, looking serious, holds Jylin's hand and softly says, "Thank you, Yi Chen." Jylin, her face still flushed, looks at him with a mix of surprise and lingering affection. Yi Chen's expression hardens slightly as he corrects her assumption. "Not really. President Yi genuinely liked the name Jyelin. It shares the same character as the Jia in delicious food, so he decided to use it." Jyelin, however, remains unconvinced by his explanation, stubbornly insisting, "It must be because you begged President Yi so bitterly that he agreed. Why are you afraid to admit it?" "I know you still love me." Yi Chen sighs internally, realizing her persistent delusion. He turns his head away, his expression turning cold and distant as he states, "Let's not talk about this anymore, just sign it." Jyelin, still clinging to her narrative, smiles brightly and assures him, "If this project gets done, Grandma will definitely be overjoyed." With a look of determination, she signs the contract and officially stamps it. Taking the signed document back, Yi Chen says professionally, "All right, I'll take this copy to file it away." As he turns to leave, Jyelin quickly calls out, "Wait a moment." Yi Chen stops and she approaches him with a grateful smile, offering, "I'm really happy you helped me this time. How about this? I'll treat you to lunch. That place outside the city you love eating at the most. What was it called again? Little Duck Instant Noodles." Yi Chen's expression darkens further. He rejects her offer flatly. "Thanks, but I'm busy. I don't have time to eat with you." He then corrects her, his voice dripping with disappointment. "Also, that shop outside the city is called Little Chicken Instant Noodles. You've been there so many times, yet you never bothered to remember the name. Seems like you never really loved me at all." Stung by his words, Jylin's face contorts in anger. She shouts defensively, "I went with you to that rundown little shop so many times. I've already been more than good enough to you." Yi Chen, completely unfazed by her outburst, turns his back and walks away, throwing a final, cold remark over his shoulder. "If you don't want to go, fine. I'll go eat Western food with Fang Kao instead. HMPH. As he leaves, Jyelin watches him go, her expression a mix of frustration and lingering attachment. Suddenly, the office doors swing open, and a stunning woman with long, dark, wavy hair, President Qin Hongyan, enters the room. Jyelin gasps, recognizing the powerful figure. Qin Hongyan, exuding elegance and authority, acknowledges her with a cool "Miss Wang." Jyelin, flustered, stammers a respectful "President Qin." As Qin Hongyan walks past her, Jyelin glares at her retreating back, her jealousy flaring as she mutters internally, "This foolish woman actually used that idiot to provoke President Yi." Watching Yi Chen and Qin Hongyan stand together, Jylin's thoughts shift to Yi Chen. She observes, still looking at President Yi, it seems he still cares about his ex-wife. Turning back to Qin Hongyan, she silently threatens, "If Wang Jiaqi made you angry, you could tear up the contract and refuse to cooperate with the Wang family. It seems winning over President Yi is going to be a long battle." Yi Chen, maintaining his professional demeanor, replies to Qin Hongyan, "I won't go back on what I promised." Qin Hongyan, leaning in closely with a seductive smile, playfully comments, "President Yi, I accidentally overheard your conversation just now. You know, I'm a foodie too. I'm really curious about that place with good food. That little chicken instant noodles spot outside the city you mentioned, what's it like? Could you take me there?" Surprised by her request, Yi Chen looks down at her and agrees, "Sure." Qin Hongyan silently cheers success, while playfully responding a loud "Great." The scene cuts to an hour and a half later, outside a small, unassuming eatery named Little Chicken Instant Noodle. Standing before the modest storefront, Yi Chen turns to Qin Hongyan and warns her, "This isn't some 5-star restaurant, just an ordinary little place. I'm worried you might not be used to it." Qin Hongyan, smiling warmly, reassures him, "Good food shouldn't be judged by whether it's cheap or expensive. I happily eat stinky tofu that costs just a few bucks." She adds, looking at him with a mix of sincerity and charm, "President Yi, I'm not the kind of delicate princess who only sets foot in high-end places." Yi Chen, touched by her down-to-earth nature, smiles slightly and thinks, Chin Hongyan really built herself up from nothing. She didn't rely on her family. She must have gone through a lot of hardships. She's definitely not like the average rich, beautiful girl. As they walk toward the entrance, Chin Hongyan suddenly trips in her high heels, stumbling forward with a sharp gasp. Yi Chen quickly catches her arm, steadying her as she apologizes. Sorry, President Yi, there are some potholes at the entrance. I'm afraid of tripping in these heels. Yi Chen, holding her arm supportively, replies kindly, It's fine. Hold on to me, I'll guide you across. Chin Hongyan nods with a soft. As they walk arm in arm, Yi Chen reflects on the stark contrast between his past and present. Looking down at Chin Hongyan's hand resting on his arm, he thinks, For 3 years, how I wished I could hold Wang Jiaqi's hand and walk into places like this. But she refused every single time. A look of deep contemplation crosses his face as he realizes the irony, and in the end, the one who got to hold her hand and even embrace her body was another man. Noticing his sudden shift in mood, Chin Hongyan looks up at him with concern, asking, President Yi, what's wrong? Why do you look so upset? Yi Chen, snapping out of his thoughts, quickly reassures her, It's nothing, Hongyan, just call me by my name when we're outside. Still worried, she probes further, Yi Chen, what were you thinking about just now? You looked really unhappy. Yi Chen, staring off into the distance with a hardened expression, lies, It's nothing. However, his internal thoughts reveal his true fury as he imagines Wang Jiaqi and Fang Kao together. He seethes, Wang Jiaqi is probably having a lovely Western dinner with that scumbag Fang Kao right now, isn't she? Maybe I should have Zhenkun break Fang Kao's third leg. The scene then abruptly shifts to a bright, upscale restaurant in Yunju City Center, the QI Light Food Restaurant. Wang Jialin, wearing a light blue slip dress, sits across from her friend Hong Ai, asking, Why did you suddenly call me out to eat? Hong, looking serious, slides a blue folder across the table, saying, Take a look. Curious, Jialin asks, What is it? Hong Ai's expression turns urgent as she reveals, Not bad, my dear. You actually represented your family and signed a contract with Huisheng Group, and it's even named after you. Jialin, caught off guard by the accusation, defensively retorts, What are you implying? That I slept with President Yi? Don't think of me as that cheap. Do I look like that kind of woman? Hong, leaning in with a knowing look, presses the issue. Oh really? Didn't you agree to go to a hotel room with Fang Kao before, also to help your family secure financing? Flustered and annoyed, Jialin snatches the folder back, snapping, You're so annoying, give me back the contract. She then tries to justify her actions, explaining with a sigh, I'm only with Fang Kao because he promised to help the Wang family solve this financing problem. I wanted to achieve something so Grandma would finally look at our branch of the family with respect. The chapter concludes with a close-up of Jialin, her expression filled with lingering regret and sorrow, as she confesses, even though Yi Chen was just a delivery driver, I really loved this project idea of his. I wanted to help him make it happen too. Who knew we'd end up divorced in the end?